Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and joining me today is a very, very special guest, the host and moderator of the Easy Allies podcast and host of Bosman at Home, Mr. Kyle Bosman. Kyle, how's it going, man?
Hey, everybody. It's going great. I should apologize first and foremost for the noise outside. Got some lawnmowers out there. I can't stop them.
You can't. That's okay. That's just part of living in LA or whatnot, or the surrounding areas, that kind of stuff. Because here we'd be shoveling right now, actually. So it's a little bit of a different thing here in the Midwest.
Sure.
But first off, I just want to say thank you again so much for coming on. It's a real pleasure. I've been a big fan of Kyle's. And if you haven't seen Kyle's work before, he was on Game Trailers for a few years. He's with Easy Allies now. We'll get to that at the end. But he's a very talented individual, and he's got a lot of good comedic timing, or at least that's what I would say. But that's coming from someone whose comedic timing is not perfect, I would say. So that's just me being humble, as it were. So anyway, Kyle, I want to get into it this week. There's a lot we could talk about, but I want to talk about you and all the things you're excited about in 2017. But the biggest thing that's happened this week, For Honor came out, and you played the beta, like we were talking about beforehand. And I just kind of want to get your thoughts on this game, because it doesn't seem... It's a high barrier for entry, I would say. But what do you think about the game? How do you feel about the mechanics of it all?
For Honor's cool. It's cool to, Ubisoft made this game. It's easy to forget that because we've known about it for so long. Yeah. But it's a whole new big game that is about sword fighting, and I think that is a really cool aspect of what's happening here. I'm into it.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing that gets me too is I just beat the single player campaign, and looking at this game when they first announced, I was like, this is going to be just like a multiplayer game. Like, I thought for sure they were going to be like Titanfall 1. They won't have a campaign, or it'll be like in the multiplayer mode. But then to actually have a campaign that has a story, it's not the best story, but there's a story there. I feel like that's a really good thing. That's one less thing for people to, critique and say, well, they didn't have a single player campaign. So,
well, how long is it, that campaign?
I played it on hard mode, and I got through it in about 7.5 hours.
Cool. So it's a full campaign.
Yes, it is a full campaign, and I think, I'm reviewing it, so it's a nice introduction, I would say, to the mechanics of the game. If you're like really overwhelmed about like getting into multiplayer and you don't even want to fight like the bot stuff, this would be a good way to get into it very easily. And they have an easy, a normal, a hard, and then like realistic, and that's with no fight UI or anything. There's less checkpoints, there's like more damage, and I was like, that's a little much for me. And easy, they said, is there if you just want the story. So if you wanted to get into this game and like learn how to fight, I think that's the best way to do it. So
cool. Yeah, because one thing I was shocked by that I didn't know about it coming in are the combos and how many different moves you can do and tricks you can do. And then when people are hulking out and growing gold, yes. I didn't know you could do that. You go through the tutorial, which is smart. They force you to go through this tutorial before you can even play any multiplayer. Yeah. But that tutorial never explained going gold, and so I was a little lost for sure. Does the campaign explain those things?
So there is, they do talk about the revenge or going gold. I really like that, because now I'm always going to forever think that, like, time to go gold, and then I'll hit a button. They kind of explained it a little bit in there. It's more about, like, if you're getting 2v1'd a little bit more, like, your little meter fills up, but it still fills up while you're dodging, parrying, and all that stuff. But the campaign does an okay job of explaining it. The thing about the campaign is that you go through as the Knights, then the Vikings, then the Samurai, and you get to play a few of the classes, but you don't get to play all of the classes. So you get to learn some intricacies of some of them, but you don't learn like everything about everyone. So I don't know, but they explained it a little bit, but I wish they would do that too. That's a good point. And I forgot today, I was trying to hop into like a multiplayer match, and they're like, you still have to fight like the leader of your faction. So if you like pick Vikings, Knights, or Samurai, you still have to fight, like, I picked the Samurai, so I had to fight the Kensei before I could like go into multiplayer after the tutorial. It's just like a one-on-one, like best of 5. Like,
he trains you?
Yeah, he's like the last guy you have to go through, and you're like, okay, like, Sensei, cool. I'm gonna kill you 3 times, and then I can go off to multiplayer. So yeah, I think tutorial is a smart idea for that game. And you, like you said, you played the beta, and you did some brawls, or did you do Dominion, or what were you doing primarily?
We did 2v2s. I didn't do any 1v1s, but I could not handle it, I think. I really like 2v2s because they're sort of organized where each player has another enemy. You attack your enemy, and then the survivor goes over to handle the other fight that's happening. I never played it that way. I would immediately run over to my friend and try to 2v1 that person, and then run around. And I liked that the game is open enough to punish me for trying to play like that, but also it'll throw people off when I'm doing things like that. We won a lot of matches with me just goofing off.
Oh,
and
for sure.
I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, totally. That is a huge thing to consider because a lot of the time when you go into 2v2, you think like, I got to kill this guy so I can get to this guy. But there's never a time where they say like, Kyle, you have to stay here in this fight before you can move into the next arena to help your friend. It's like, no, you can go there immediately. Like, it just like go mess that other dude up and then turn on the other guy who's like, oh, come on, man. Like, yeah. And then 4v4 is very much like that, just even crazier than like with all the creep running around. You can just harass people the whole time. You never have to really engage anyone if you don't want to.
Yes. And I love the instant kills. I love grabbing a person and kicking them off a ledge.
Yep.
That's what you want to do. You want to do that in a video game, and it just feels so good.
It's like I've had a few 2v1 instances where like you can do the 2v1 like on the ground, but like if you're up on a bridge or you've got like a cliff and they're like backing you into that corner and you throw a dude off and the other guy's like, oh man, I was kind of counting on that guy, and then you go gold and then you go crazy on that dude. It's just like, whoa, you just won that 2v2 because they weren't, careful of their surroundings, as it were.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love doing that, or throwing a dude off like a small ledge and then jumping off and then insta killing him on the ground. Oh, makes me feel so good, especially in a 2v2.
Cool. Yeah, cool elements to add to a video game. And I truly like how different it is, and I hope it's well supported.
Yeah, and you said something about the combos and stuff too. This game isn't really, it hasn't been marketed as like a fighting game, but it really kind of is. I mean, when you start to look at all these different characters and the classes and stuff like that, there are these combos, there are these little intricacies that you need to learn about each of them. It's even crazier than like a MOBA per se, and it does feel kind of like, if I'm playing Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it's like I got to know what Virgil's capable of when I'm fighting Iron Man, that kind of stuff.
Right. I was watching my coworker, Michael Huber, who's just a super fan of the series, starting to do cancels. And I didn't know you could do cancels. And then seeing how effective that is when you wind up and then don't attack, you have your opponent roll. It is. There's fighting game tactics inside of this battling game. And I really like it for that.
Yeah, definitely. There's like one specifically with the Orochi where he falls back and he kind of puts his sword up and he kind of runs up and attacks. And he kind of, that move shows off where he's going to hit because he's going to come like down to the side here. But you can cancel that out because they can be like ready for that. And then you can run up and then like hit him at the top of the head. And it's just like, oh, made you fall for it.
Yeah, or shove them off the wall. Yeah.
Or shove them off the wall, or into spikes, or into fire, or whatever else. It's
a geyser, a water geyser. Like, why? But it's cool.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Like the first time I played on that map, I was like, why are there geysers? And then I was like, oh my gosh, they really will wreck someone just bubbling up. You're like, well, bye, buddy. But yeah, it's really intense. Is there any class like specifically that you really love or like really hate?
I really love Nobushi. That is the staff class, because I can just poke and it has bleeding effects, and it's just annoying. It's an annoying class. In a game of sword fighting, the weapon that is as far from a sword as possible. I like that.
I really like that. She has like some weird like evasive stances, and then she can also kind of back up and stab at the same time too. She's got some really incredible reach. And I remember during the beta, like Nobushi, people were saying like she was like really broken. And like that people were just using her all the time because people like she was a little overpowered, her bleeds were a little too strong. And I just remember a few times where I was like, I had like no health and I had to go revenge, go gold to like save myself and shield myself from like bleeding out completely as I ran away. I'm like, oh, no, like so is there any class that you're like you see him and you're like, I'm leaving, I don't want to fight this guy? Like
No, I like them all. I think that it would be Nobushi, but I just picked that one. I like the classes. I like the differences between them because I think when the game was announced, we kind of looked at it and said, how many classes can there be? Yeah. And they proved it. They proved it. They have a big, huge, big belly man with a giant club. Yes. It's cool. There's cool stuff in there.
Shigoki's so cool. And I think another class you'd really like maybe is the Lawbringer, because he's like the spearman of the knights, but he's just like this super duper tank, and like you can run in and like stab someone and then push them off the edge. So you like stab them in the stomach and then off the edge they go. It's like pretty mean thing to do, but I like to do it. So yeah. They said like with the season pass they're gonna have like 6 additional heroes, and they've kind of had them like in shadow or whatever, and there's like 2 in the front. It looks like there's gonna be kind of like a double like sickle wielding ninja type for the samurai, and then might be a Viking with like a short sword or something like that. I'm not exactly sure where they're going with it, but you said right there we weren't sure how many classes they could have. I wonder when we're gonna get to a point, especially with this game, where they're like, we can't add like any more to each group, where they're like, we've kind of run out of ideas.
This is what they had in real life, right?
Yeah.
There's no more weapons left. Yeah, I could get there.
It's not like Overwatch where you could just be like, well, we'll just make like a crocodile that's like submersed in water the whole time, and he just floats around in a big bubble, and you're like, okay, that works for Overwatch. You can't go too insane with this game as far as like classes go.
That was a very good improvised idea, by the way.
Oh, I thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I like a while ago I was thinking my friends and I would sit around and be like, what would be a good Overwatch character? And then we thought
crocodile in a bubble.
We didn't think of that one. We thought of like a street shark that was like, nice. A bipedal one that had like these like water tanks over his gills so that he could run around and be like a big water gun, and he didn't do damage, but it did like knockback and stuff. I was like, that'd be kind of fun too. But the crocodile in the bubble, I would like to see that, and I wouldn't have to pay for it because thankfully all those heroes are free, which I think was a good idea for that game. And with For Honor, I think what they said is that the heroes they still have to pay that in-game currency with them, but like after a week, they'll be open to everybody. Because a game like this would really suck if they released that new ninja type class for the samurai and he was like overpowered and you're like, well, if you pay $10, you get to play as him. Like,
so that's what I think is actually super cool about For Honor that I hadn't seen before. I don't know if anyone else does this, is where you can play as any of the characters, but you don't unlock loot for them until you pay the currency, until you like recruit them is the phrase they use. And so, yeah, I can try out Nobushi and hate it, and I don't have to spend any currency on it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's also nice to not feel like you're getting stuff for characters. Like when you play as the Warlord, and when you win a match or lose a match and you scour the battlefield, scavenge it, you get stuff for him. You don't get stuff for Nobushi, and you're like, I don't play Nobushi, I play the Warlord. Like, this is so stupid. So they're smart about that. And then unlocking other stuff like through those other packs they have, when you unlock it with that character, it's stuff for them, like specifically. Because, again, like Overwatch, I mean, you open up one of those loot crates and you never know what you're going to get. So you're like, oh, great, a skin for Reinhardt. I never play as Reinhardt. Like, whatever. Thanks, Overwatch. But that's the randomized loot, man. That's just the game we have to play, the carrot on the stick. It's usually the stick. Anyway, but yeah, so you're a big fan of For Honor. Do you think you'll pick it up, though? I mean, is it a game that you're like really excited about getting this week, or is it something that you're like, I'll just try it out once in a while, maybe play with Hubert?
I'm stacked up right now. So the prospect of buying that game is scary. Yeah. But I do want to play that campaign. I love playing new games for big campaigns. I don't know, it's still stupid, but I still love it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm really torn on that one. We'll see. I play through the games that I can. I still play, and I'm playing Final Fantasy 15, which might be next after that patch. Hopefully. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you're done, check out the review. It'd be great. I'd really appreciate it. No, yeah, that was a good game. I can't believe you haven't gotten to it. You're a busy guy. You got a lot going on.
I'll tell you what happened with Final Fantasy 15 is this thing where they said, okay, we're going to fix the story.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's probably good that you waited, actually.
Yeah. Well, then I thought it was coming. They said March 28th, we're fixing Chapter 13. And so I've been saying publicly, yeah, I'll just wait till then. And then I got a tweet the other day from someone who said, hey, that's not the story patch, man. They're just going to do a little bit of 13, but that's not what they were talking about when they said they're going to patch the story. Oh, no. And so I just have to surrender. I have to give up and just play the game, I think.
Yeah. I would absolutely love to have your thoughts on that game, because that was a game that I played through. I just consumed the whole thing, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I want to talk to somebody about it, because it's a crazy game. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but I would love to hear what you think about that eventually when you get to it, because yeah. Especially someone who's story driven like you are, you like, they're like, we're gonna fix the story. You're like, okay, I'll show up when it's fixed, and they're like,
that's exactly what that was. And then now they have no idea when they're actually going to fix the story, which was stupid in the first place. I should just play it. I'll just play it.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot to get lost in. So the nice thing is, even if you started now, you might not get to that point until maybe they fix it, which would be great, because that would be another reason to like come back if you're like playing it for a while, and then you're like, all right, there's other games I gotta play, and then you're like, oh, like they fixed 13, I can go back in. I was on Chapter 11. Like, here we go. So yeah, that's really cool. So you're not, For Honor, maybe wait on it a little. I wish I could just you're a PlayStation guy. I was like, I just send you my copy. I'd be like, here, play through the campaign, because like Titanfall 2. I think a lot of people kind of were really hyped on that campaign. I know I was, because the first campaign was like non-existent, like multiplayer battles and someone screaming at you from this like little corner. And I was like, I don't know what the story is at all. But this game actually attempted to have a story, and it was a really good introduction to the specific mechanics of that game. A lot like this one.
I had to pre-order Titanfall 2 because I lost a bet, and I was actually super happy to. That one worked out.
That was a really good bet to lose. I remember like pre-ordered, baby, and I was like, Congratulations. I think that was a really good bet for that. And you're like, okay, yeah, because that's man, if you just played that campaign, I don't think that campaign alone is probably worth like $60, but I feel like it's a really strong campaign still by itself.
It totally is.
Yeah. Which, did you have any part of that campaign? I know there's like a part that everybody talks about. For me, it was like the time manipulation portion of the game. But is there any part that stands out to you where you're like, man, I really like this part?
Yeah, I mean, that part is great. No, I mean, I like its progression. There are times where you just kind of skip ahead to a whole new environment where that's weird, but I do like the progression. I like that it's telling one consistent story throughout the thing. I think, actually, to be honest with you, the time skip thing may have been overhyped for me because somebody said, like, you'll never believe it. It's going to change games when you go to that one level. And, you know, I've played games that did that before, and so it's like, okay, I get this. I know how to do this. Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised by how light it was and how the villains were kind of comedic.
Yes, they were. The first one especially kind of gets out and he's in his Titan and he's like strangling this other dude and he's just kind of projecting and talking and doing all this stuff. I was like, this is very different than I thought it was going to be. It was kind of like a B movie, action movie or something, like kind of cheesy, corny, weird dialogue. But
yeah,
even
I think that's totally what they wanted. And which made the end a little weird because I don't think you can have both. You can't pretend to be very serious suddenly. But the level I just thought of that really stands out to me the most is the house building factory.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that one is so cool. I remember going back and capturing footage for that because I was like, this part's really messed up and neat. And I was like, where am I? Like, that's cool. And
I think it's an area that the game itself benefits from. So say you have a super parkour character, a house building factory is the perfect place for you to go to. And so I really like it for that reason. I think that was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I kind of, because you're very story and context driven, I think about that a lot when I play games too, because you had an influence on me. And there's a portion in the back to the time stuff we're talking about where you're supposed to kill 2 guards, but I didn't. And then I was like jumping back for the time, and then they were like talking on the comms, like, yeah, some guy just showed up and killed 2 guards. I was like, who did that? It wasn't me. And then I was like, oh, I guess the game probably just assumed that it's a first-person shooter, so anything that moves, you're just going to shoot it immediately. So I was like, they didn't change the dialogue for me on that one. They were like, oh, we saw this dude, and he got away, and he's down corridor B or whatever. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, that house building level is really, really fun. One thing that was kind of weird, I thought, was like, I like the crane level, but it was kind of weird to like get up to a place and then like adjust these cranes to like run on it. It was fine, but I remember thinking like, this is kind of an interesting thing. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah. And what sucked is I remember wanting the secrets because you see the secret helmets.
Sure.
And so you want to move the crane to the right spot, but you also want to move it to the wrong spot first. And I saw as I was leaving that part a helmet, and I was like, I'm never going back.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you just get thrown like a fastball. That sucked.
Yeah. Are you kind of like, I'm like this where if I get collectibles like in that first level, I think I got like most all of them, and I was like, you know what? I think I'll grab every collectible this game. And then like in the second level, I didn't get them all. I'm like, well, guess that dream's over. I'm just like, I'm not going back.
100% that. Yeah, I didn't replay any levels because I was like, how could I have possibly missed one? I saw everything. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Well, it's also like meaningful collectibles in some games, like Tomb Raider kind of pops to mind, where you kind of like look at something and it has a story and it might like show you something, you might get something from it, as opposed to just like collecting a helmet, which is like, all right, cool, maybe this will give me some end game thing where I have like unlimited ammo or infinite health or whatever. Yeah. So
I don't think they do. I think they were just helmets, right?
I think they were just helmets, yeah. So I was just kind of like, there wasn't an incentive to be like, I gotta get all these so I can have a cool like costume over in the multiplayer and stuff. But did you ever get into any of the multiplayer for that game? Did you try that out at all?
Never once.
Never once?
Bought the game for full price, never once tried the multiplayer.
So for you, what would you, like if you had to put like a price point on that campaign, would you say it's like $20, $40? You know, it's hard to put a value on it.
Yeah, you know I hate doing that. It does. To me, I don't feel bad about the money I spent on the game. It's the best I can say, you know?
Cool. Yeah. Well, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything like that. I just like to think I'm more value oriented, obviously, too. And I wouldn't tell someone to be like, all right, like go out and buy this immediately. This campaign is great. I'd be like, wait for it to come down in price, because if you played it and you're like $60, it's like a 8 to 10 hour thing, or maybe it was like kind of 15-ish actually. I don't remember exactly how long the campaign was. How long was it for you? Do you remember?
I feel like 8 is perfect. I don't think I spent 15 hours on it.
Yeah, I think that would probably be more of like the hardcore stuff and like going around finding every collectible or going back to get every collectible would be like too much. So
and those speed runs too.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, like in the beginning, like the training portions, so like those people who could do like a 10-second speed run where they're like shooting headshots, like not even like kind of looking that way, and I'm like, how do you do these things?
But it's cool. Actually, that part of the game is really cool because you can watch the ghosts and you can see how good you can become. And obviously, most of us don't finish that level being that good, but it's cool to see the possibilities that they're suggesting that you'll be able to have.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I feel like For Honor should have a ghost system, and it'd be like, you could kill this guy in like 5 seconds if you're that good. No, they're like, oh, there's the ghost of me that could be better. No, yeah, that parkour in that game, man, feels so good, and the grapple. I love grapples so much, Kyle. Yeah. I can't tell you how good that's like the best grapple in like any game I've ever played, and I played a lot of grapple games.
So Call of Duty has a grapple. I still haven't played that campaign. Compared to how's a Call of Duty grapple?
I haven't played that, and and this is the newest Call of Duty, right?
Yeah,
kind of on not principle alone, but the last Call of Duty I got into was like Black Ops 1.
Okay, so it's been a while.
It's been a while, and the only team I really trust is Treyarch. Personally, those are the Black Ops games I really like from Black Ops. From what I heard about Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3, I was like, cool. But in Infinite Warfare, Advanced Warfare, all that stuff, I was like, and Ghosts kind of burned me out. And then I saw in this last one, they're like, well, you got like wall running, and you can have a grapple hook and all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, sounds about right. Like,
yeah. So actually, along those lines, when you ask me like, was it worth the $60? Like sometimes I just like some of it is you just feel good paying for it because you like the developers, and
exactly
that's to me like why it was worth it. Is hey, you made a great game, Respawn. Thank you for putting in this effort, and it feels rewarding to spend your money on something you believe in.
Yes, I 1,000% agree. That's the same thing like with For Honor here. It's kind of like, oh, Ubisoft is branching out, doing something pretty different than what they've done before, and I want to say, hey, Ubisoft, I like this. Do more of this type of thing. Like, don't be afraid to like say, hey, Assassin's Creed, you sit on the back burner for a year or two. We're gonna try For Honor, or we're gonna try something different. Like, that's great. I love that. So yeah, I completely understand that. Like I rebought both the remasters of Darksiders 1 and 2, games I absolutely love in the first place, but I just kind of wanted to buy it to say like, hey, I still like Darksiders, please make another one. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely understand supporting that, and Titanfall 2 was a no-brainer for me. I just, even though I haven't put as many hours into it as something like Overwatch, the time I have put has been just really enjoyable. It's just buttery smooth controls. Like I feel like every first-person shooter, I don't want it to be homogenized, but it's so good. If you're gonna make a futuristic shooter, I just really think take a few notes from them, like just wall running, double jumping, grapple hooks. Like I was starting to get to a point where I would instinctively turn around when I would jump to like shoot back at people, and I was like, wow, I'm starting to get there. Like I started to feel good. Man, that game is just it's a time and a half. But yeah, I know you didn't play the multiplayer, but it's just like all the campaign goodness that you learned against a bunch of other people who are incredible, like flying around the map. So yeah, it's intimidating though, for sure. Yeah, is that but the grapple's in the campaign, right? I think I don't remember if it is or not. But we're putting us both on the spot here. So.
I can't tell you. I don't remember a moment where I'm grappling.
That's okay. Then maybe it didn't happen. Maybe the grapple didn't happen. All I know is that if you ever get the chance, just like boot up like a personal game, the custom game, and then just grapple around a level for a bit. Like it's just like Spider-Man 2 a little bit. It's just like kind of I'm swinging around. I just it's a beautiful thing.
I saw just a GIF on Reddit where just like a sniping mid grapple is just the craziest thing I've ever like. Some of the craziest GIFs you could ever imagine come from Titanfall. It was fun.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's like a little thing also in Overwatch, like because Widowmaker, the sniper, she has like a grapple, and you're supposed to, if you grapple and get a headshot, you get a thing for it. And I just happened to do that once, and it was like smooth as silk is the name of that achievement, and I was like, oh, cool. But in Titanfall, that I'm gonna tell you right now, that's not gonna happen for me. The people are moving around. It's sniping in that game is so hard. Like it can be rewarding, but dang, I'd rather just be like invisible or like invisible with a shotgun or grappling up with like my little SMG, like here I come. So yeah, or just like flying across level and punching a dude in the face. Feels good, man. Feels like Dragon Ball Z or something. Anyway, yeah, Titanfall, man, what a good game. So we're talking about these games and all this stuff that you enjoyed of 2016, but I kind of want to look forward to 2017. I want to get your feel for any games or movies or shows or anything that you're excited about. And like, is there anything that comes to mind immediately, or there like
Super Mario Odyssey comes to mind immediately.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
as we record this, we're like 2 weeks away. Well, still 3. We're still 3 weeks away from Switch, I think.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about it. I'm so pumped about it. And Super Mario Odyssey is the game that I never thought would be real. And it's weird that it's normal already. It's weird that we just say the 3 words Super Mario Odyssey. It's like, okay, that's a game that's coming. It's a new Mario game. It's a new Mario game that we haven't seen in 15 years. You know, it's really cool to, well, maybe we can count Galaxy. Anyway, it's a sharp turn in direction after what Nintendo has been doing with Mario games and what they've been saying about Mario games. And so to see an exploration-based 3D Mario game, to me, it's me so pumped, so happy. I'm beside myself. It's all I could ever ask for. And so it's like rude of me not to celebrate it every time I get the opportunity to.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I was so excited for you because when I saw that pop up and I was like watching it, I was like, oh man, Kyle's gonna be so excited for this. And the weird thing for me about the Mario when it comes to all that stuff is that the thing that frustrates me the most with Nintendo, and I think it frustrates a lot of people, is you have a great concept like Super Mario 64, and you have this beautiful thing, and then they take this long to make basically, well, I mean, they did Super Mario Sunshine and stuff like that, but take that concept and just say, like, here's Mario, and we're going to put him in a bunch of different worlds, and it's going to be this 3D platformer, and it's going to be single-player focused, and people are, like, screaming, like, blood coming out of their throats, and they're like, we want this game, and they're finally like, and here it is. And you're like, yeah, thank you, please. You're listening. That's so good, because sometimes you feel like, with Nintendo specifically, you're like, where's my Pokemon RPG on like the Switch or whatever, you know? Where's that stuff that you like people are screaming about?
And it's interesting because at a certain point I had resigned to just understand, because they said publicly, look, the new Super Mario Brothers series does better than the Galaxy series.
Sure.
When we made New Super Mario Brothers Wii, it did better than Galaxy 1 and 2. And so I like got it. I was like, yeah, you're right. That's going to sell more for less effort. Why not do more stuff like that? And so to see them just make a game out of ambition again is so encouraging. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and the question I have for you, especially about New Donk City, basically the New York City that's in the game. How do you feel about like the look of like just the people? I don't know. For me, it's kind of a strange disconnect because forever I used to think like Mario was like a human who was brought to this weird world. But it's like, no, he's not like a regular human, or maybe this New Donk City isn't regular people. I don't know. It's just weird to see Mario looking up at like a normal person in a business suit who's like looking down at him like, who are you, little weird man? You know?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, a lot of people get hung up on it. For me, I was like devouring it the second it appeared. It's everything I ever wanted. I think that the game itself will have some sort of explanation of traveling to different universes, and I think it's it's just one world that you go to. I think that maybe they should have introduced the game that way, as telling people, hey, you're going to different universes, because people do get hung up on it immediately. You know what I mean? Like why is Mario a small man? Like, why is he a cartoon character in this world of humans? I think it's just a different world. I think Mario's just going to some other weird universe where something called New Donk City could exist.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if they would have opened up kind of like that tease with the desert for the Switch and stuff like that when they did that Switch reveal. If they would have started there and then they're like, oh, but you can go to the forest and you can go to the city and you can go to this place and that place. People have been like, that place is weird with the city, but like that's not like that other desert place looks sweet, or that food place looks amazing, or whatever like that. So yeah. How do you feel about the hat? Are you like the hat having kind of like a personality? I mean, he finally kind of has another partner besides like a Yoshi or Luigi or something like that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's apparently, I'm not apparently. I mean, there were rumors that you can switch them, but I think we could all just presume you can because they have hat shops in the game. And so, yeah, I'm into it. I'm into kind of, you hate seeing this thing that you're like, oh, I can't go to there unless I go back to the hat shop and get my different hat and then come back to this moment. But whatever, it'll be fun. They're adding it just to add variety to a game instead of having Mario with his standard set of powers. Sure. And so, yeah, I'm cool with hats. I'm excited about hats. Let's see what they got with hats.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Zelda or a Metroid type of thing where it's like you see something, like you see a tower in the beginning and you're like, I don't know how to get to the top of that. But later on, you're like, oh, I get the hat that like explodes me like a cannon, and then I can go straight up and like land here. Be like, okay, cool, I can go back to this thing, get a star up here or whatever else.
Yeah, and that can always be rewarding. That can always be good, and so I'm into that.
Cool. Well, and I'm really excited for you about that. I'm really hoping it's coming out in November, like, or whatever. They say holiday 2017, and I'm like, please, Nintendo, if they're like, October, they'll be like, we're gonna push it to like January, February. Be like, no, like, you can make so much money. But how do you think it's gonna be coming out this year? Do you have a feel? Do you feel like it's for sure?
I do. I have every reason to believe it is for sure, right? Because the Switch itself has been delayed until now. But the reputation, the history tells us it will absolutely be delayed. You know?
Yeah. That was the thing when they announced that. People were like, "Oh my god, it's Zelda and Mario," and I was like, "Mario, we don't." I was like, "That looks amazing." I don't know when we're gonna get to play that. I'm like, I hope it's this year. I really do. For the people who bought into it, I really want that to be a reality. You know?
Yeah. But what's crazy is after I've played through Zelda on the Switch, Mario will be the only game I'm really looking forward to. I'll absolutely play Splatoon 2. But I don't even want to buy Mario Kart again. I already have that game and played so much of it. And so I'm excited for them to make more Switch announcements. Absolutely. We know they're coming. We know that there will be more games on the Switch this year. Strange position we're in right now, but yeah. Super Mario Odyssey, I would buy the Switch just for that one game.
That's cool. And I absolutely love that passion because I am not weirdly enough, I just want to share this with you. I want to get it off my chest. When I was a kid, I got really excited about the N64. I think it's one of the best consoles ever made. And I remember loving Super Smash Brothers. And I told my parents, I was like, for my birthday, if I get the N64, I'm not saying I'm going to get it, but if I do, get Super Smash Brothers with it. And I got it. I got N64, blah, blah, blah. Opened up the game. I'm like, here we go. Super Mario 64. And I remember being let down by that game. I remember thinking I want to play with my friends. I don't want to play Super Mario. And then I remember thinking this game's great. And I went back a few summers ago and just played through just the main campaign. I didn't get all the stars, but I played through. I'm like, man, this game still controls like a dream. I was like, it's a really good game and it stands the test of time. But it just feels so sad that it's taken a long time to get there. But at least we are getting there now with another iteration of that kind of flavor because I think people just really want it.
Yeah, so. I'm pumped. I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, well, I'm happy for you too. I'm just excited. I'm excited to see you play that game, stream that game. It's just gonna be kind of a dream come true in a way. So, but besides Mario, because Mario's a big deal. Hopefully coming out this year. What else? What else are you excited about?
Okay. This is gonna sound stupid.
No, nothing stupid here.
I'm very excited about Parappa the Rapper coming out this year. Now, this is strictly a remaster. It's barely a remake. I am so excited about how good it looks. It looks perfect. And to me, it's an encouraging message because it's a game. It's one of my top 10, I think. If I really had to jot it down, I think Parappa the Rapper is in my top 10 favorite games of all time. Cool. So to preserve it this way, to see Sony caring about it and perfecting it and then making it available to this new audience who might be appreciating it more because it functions a little better than it used to. The old game's a little tough to play these days. And so to see that is encouraging. It makes me very happy. And so I like that effort. I like what is happening there. And I hope it is a success again. And I hope that this game has another life. And I'm excited about that. I think it's a really cool initiative.
Yeah, definitely. I think the cool thing, especially about Sony, is that they are a lot about their legacy, kind of like Nintendo in a way, but where Sony kind of says hey, we're going to take these old games, remaster them, or with Final Fantasy VII, they're we're going to completely remake this thing. It's going to be way different than it was before, but this is our legacy. We're going to pump up this legacy, but we're also going to pull out new things. Is something that's really good if you're going to buy into a console because you're oh, I've got this old stuff I might have missed out on, redone Parappa, or there's new stuff like Horizon or The Last of Us and stuff like that you're wow, there's always these new things that are coming. So Sony kind of hits a lot of notes with that. But I'm excited because Parappa, I didn't play Parappa at all, but the only reason I kind of know about it is through mostly you and the allies and stuff like that. And it's just, I'm excited again for you because I think that'll be something you're really going to enjoy.
Now's your chance, though. That's cool. I should mention the same team's doing Patapon and Loco Roco, two other games that would easily get dropped off, but they're bringing them to the PS4 in the best way possible. And so I think that's interesting. That's a cool way to do that.
Yeah, I wonder if that's kind of in lieu of trying to go heavy on any type of stringent backwards compatibility, kind of like Xbox has done, where they're all right, the last generation, we've got everything now, kind of thing. Whereas they're oh, we'll just make remasters. Sony's we'll just make remasters. They're gonna look great. It's the same concept, but you just got to rebuy them. But that's okay because again, you want to support this. You're I want potentially more Parappas down the road or things like it, and this is a good way to show that.
Yeah. It is. I think if they had a little PS1 store, which they still should have, I would still love to play all the PS1 games. But if they just put Parappa up there, it just kind of lives and dies pretty quickly, I think. like Mega Man Legends. I was always like, man, if only they put Mega Man Legends at the PlayStation Store, everyone would understand. Nothing changed, so maybe sometimes it's not enough just to release it as it was, and so it's cool to see them do that kind of thing.
Sure, that's like a side tangent here. That's like one of those things where like you got your friends and like I don't know if this ever happened with you, but like you try to bring that horse to water per se, and you're like, look at this game, it's amazing, and they're like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. And you're like, but this game is okay, whatever. Like I love it so much, but okay, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Came and went.
That's okay. I'm sorry. Well, at least that it's meaningful to you, and it's just cool to see, especially with this like specific case, that they are taking it seriously. They're not just going to be like, all right, Parappa was in PlayStation All-Stars or whatever, and like they kind of did a little thing here or there with him, but they're like, he's last 2 gens or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of cool they're bringing him forward.
Yeah, very exciting. What else? I think that God of War will be really cool. Not sure it'll come out this year. Shoot, I mean, the only Star Wars game is going to be Battlefront 2, which I think will be cool. I think it'll be a cool game.
Yeah. The announcement for that, do you remember kind of how they did that? Yeah, they're just kind of like, and Battlefront 2 is coming this year.
Yeah, they didn't even call it Battlefront 2. They're like, new Battlefront. It was like, yeah.
I felt like it's going to be cool, but I don't know if you ever got into the old Battlefront games, Kyle, but like I was a huge fan of Battlefront 1 and 2 back in the day. On like PS2, I would play that game alone and like crank up to 750 on each side of like just little guys that I had to fight. And I would just play for hours on end. And then like this new Battlefront, which is definitely, it's different. But it just felt like there wasn't really a big story component. Like you're talking about these multiplayer games that don't really have a campaign in them. It didn't, but Battlefront 2, the tease right now is kind of like, oh, they're going to actually have a campaign. It's like, it's Star Wars, baby. You probably should have.
Yeah. But I think if it's good, it'll be so good.
Yeah, definitely. I hope so. Did you play a lot of Battlefront, the new one?
I did. Wow, okay. I did. Yeah, I got way into it.
Were you a first person?
When you say a lot, that means like 2 or 3 nights. Because as I said, okay. I don't play a lot of multiplayer games online.
Sure. No, that's a lot for you. That's exactly right.
Yeah, and so it was a few nights of matches, but first person.
Okay.
You were third because of the legacy, basically.
That too, and I found that third was a lot easier to deal with a lot of people. So like in first person, obviously you're kind of pigeonholed into a view, but like a third person, I could see a ton of people like coming around rocks and stuff, and then I was just kind of like firing from the hip, and I'm like, this is actually working out all right. But the third person, it's kind of like Skyrim. It's not meant to be played that way. You can do it, but it's not. It doesn't feel right. So. Yeah.
Oh, and it is such a gorgeous game that it's fun to play in first person, to be inside of those snow caves and everything.
For sure. I was gonna say it is hands down the best looking and best sounding Star Wars game I've ever seen or played. So that I want to give them props for that, because it definitely is. That's something DICE really nailed. It's just like the authenticity of everything, every gun, every piece of armor, it's all there. Like it's like, wow, this is the best experience for Star Wars we've got right now. So
yeah.
Is there any Star Wars game, though, that might not be coming this year? Like, they kind of teased a bunch, like Amy Hennig's one, the one that Respawn's working on. Is there any that, like, you're like, man, if I could have that, let's go?
Both of those will be so great. Take your time on those teams. It's fine. We'll get one every year, so I'll be cool. I'll be patient.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I would just say that please don't give me, like, another, like, well, here I am. I'm the developer for this game. Now you can watch me. There's a camera here with me on my computer, and then there's a lightsaber on the computer, but we can't show you anything yet. It's like, don't just don't talk about it. Like, just be like, it's on its way.
I don't think they can do it 3 years in a row. I think this year they'll probably show some stuff, hopefully.
I hope so, especially with Respawn, like killing it with Titanfall, and then they're like, yeah, we're kind of like working on a lightsaber game. I'm like, okay, like that sounds incredible. I just like, let me see anything, please. Like. He's more than that. Like, don't give me like Amy Hennig's thing. We saw like a little like the guy kind of walking out on like Tatooine or another desert type planet, and I was like, okay, is this going to be like Uncharted, Star Wars 1313 type of thing? But I'm hoping we get a big blowout from EA this year. So
yeah, that's exciting to think about. Yeah,
EA's going to be. Yeah, and hopefully that'll be something to think about when we're sitting there with their 20 minutes of FIFA, and we're like, man, that Star Wars game's going to be sweet, and they're just like, oh, Pele's back, and I'm
dabbing off the sweat. Yeah, we need some time to break. Yeah, you're right.
Actually, they'll probably crunch on that. Dang it. They'll probably save that for the end. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, keep going on with your 2017, your hopes and dreams there.
I'll tell you another one. I was just thinking this week, because I've been pretty cold on Mass Effect Andromeda, I guess since the reveal. Because I assumed that it would reveal harder than it did in a more explosive way. and it's actually very soon. But they just put out some media this week, and I'm starting to get excited about it. When I think about playing through that game is when I get excited about it. Your own personal quest, and I think that I'm ready to be excited about Mass Effect finally.
Cool. That's really cool. Did you play through all the other ones?
Yeah. 2 and 3. I missed 1.
Oh, really? Okay. See, I played through 1 and 2, and I missed 3, and I heard like so many bad things about 3, and they're like the ending's so horrible. And I don't really play Mass Effect for like the ending, because typically in those ones, like in Mass Effect 2, spoiler alert, if you don't do things correctly, you can watch half of your crew get murdered in like an instant. And I remember being like really depressed, and I was like, why did I try to save all those people? The crew is more important. Anyway, so I never got to 3. But did you really like 3?
Yes. At the time, playing through it, I really liked 3, and so I think that remaining thing is why I'm excited about this, because I think that's it. When I enjoyed that quest, that idea of going through these missions and visiting these planets, 2 is much better at this, where when you visit a planet, it's almost an episode of a sci-fi show, and there's some sort of story to be told just in this one planet that matters to one of your crewmates. I think I love that. But I dig it. I dig going on space quests, and so no matter how stupid the story of Mass Effect Andromeda looks to me, you know, and having to deal with like my dad and like whatever is going on here with my the humanity, the fate of humanity, I think it'll be cool just creating your own character and being that character in space and choosing where you want to go and flying through stars.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm pumped about. That's what I'm pumped about. It's a space RPG. Like, why should I be cynical about this?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's kind of like, I'm not really a big Star Trek fan, but I feel like this is kind of like what you would want in like a big, crazy Star Trek game where you're like, I'm going to other planets. I'm not always killing everybody there, but I can if I want to. Like, there could be diplomatic things. Like, I remember in 2, I forget her name, but the crew member had like a hood and like a gas mask on. Like, she was like pseudo royalty, or she was like part of this, like her father's part of a council or something, and you went and did this whole mission thing for just her. And I remember thinking like, whoa, we're spending a lot of time on this character. I was like, that's really cool. Like, I didn't think we'd do that ever. So that was a treat. But yeah, it seems like this new Mass Effect is kind of like a Fallout 4 like reverse situation with the story. Instead of like looking for your son, it's like, I'm looking for my dad and I'm a forerunner, and it's like, there are other people here. It's, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But that game looks, again, it looks incredible. And I hope it's as fun as we want it to be, because I think a lot of people are like you right now. They're kind of like, I got kind of burned by 3. I don't know if I want to get back into a gigantic RPG like this. There's a lot coming out right now. It's kind of it's gonna have to muscle its way into this spring, I think. So yeah,
and it will. Muscle it in is a really good way to phrase that, because I think EA has to look at it this way. They can't coast through this one. They can't assume everybody's excited. They have to make people excited. And so I like the way you phrase that.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I was like thinking that this is probably a good way to, and that's been a problem I think with EA recently. They have all these great things like Battlefield and Titanfall and stuff, and then unfortunately those coming out like within a week of each other. Like, hopefully next time if they do this, they won't be like put these huge things right next to each other. So putting Mass Effect alone and saying like, here's the thing we've got right now. It's the only thing. We're not going to compete with ourselves on this. Like, I think that's a smart idea. So yeah. Because there's so many games. I mean, you talked about Final Fantasy in the beginning. I think a lot of people have that game and just haven't played it, and they're waiting for that moment of downtime. And if it comes down to like, should I play Final Fantasy 15 or Mass Effect Andromeda, then it's like, okay, I got to start deciding like if I want to go back to this old game and like if they fix the story, or has Andromeda got issues that I need to be aware of before I jump into that. So there's going to be I think there might be some contention on that one. I'm excited to see what the reviews are like for it, though, because I've been out of the game for Mass Effect. I have Mass Effect 3. I bought that, Metal Gear Solid 4, and Ratchet and Clank all for one for like $10 at a GameStop like 2 years ago, and I haven't touched any of them. Like, I was like, I'll buy Mass Effect 3 and I'll beat it, and then I never did it. I was like,
I think one of those games you don't have to worry about ever playing.
Metal Gear Solid. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm sorry. It's low-hanging fruit, Kyle. I only bought Ratchet and Clank because I'm a fan of the franchise. But like, I got it. I was with my buddy at the time, and me being a big dum-dum, I was like, he'll come over and play this game with me. And then we just never did it. I was like, oh well. But yeah, I do want to go back, but I only want to go back if I could transfer that data for all the Mass Effect stuff I've done up until that point, because that was the big draw. It's like, you beat 1. Take all that info, go to 2, go to 3. Like, more games should do that. Like, that's incredible. Like, why aren't people doing that, Kyle? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. It actually was a huge draw for me with Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
'Cause it had that if you had it on PlayStation, you had this weird graphic novel where you made all the choices you could make in the first game.
Sure.
And,
Okay.
I was into that.
That's kind of how Witcher was too. I remember I played through 2 because they got me. They're like, oh, it's free with gold, and I was like, okay, I've never gotten to The Witcher. And then after playing through that, it doesn't like they ask you all these questions in the beginning of Witcher 3, like, did you kill this guy? Did you do this? Did you do that? And it's like if you played the game, you can be like, yeah, actually, I did do that. No, I didn't do that. And so it's like, oh, this is my Geralt. This is him here. Like, that's really cool.
For that one, I was I would go onto Wikipedia and search for the names. Because they would be very specific, like, what did you do to Crumsfeld? And so I had to, like, who's Crumsfeld? And so I had to, like, look up Crumsfeld. And if it was a deliberately good person, I would kill them just to see, like, what weird effects that would have, you know?
It's so good, because I remember the, I can't remember his name, like Lotho or something, but, like, the main bad guy of the second game, you could, like, kill him or not at the end of that game. And I was like, okay, if I said, you know, it's in this next game, it's like if I said I didn't kill him, then he could show up at some point, you know, and I think he does even for some people who said that, because I was like, oh, I killed him, so he never showed up. I was like, oh, cool. All right, good. Because if he showed up, I'd be like, how? I think I took your head off or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, man. I love that concept. It's concepts like that. It's concepts like the Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor. It's concepts like this For Honor battle system. It's like all these cool ideas, and I just wish more people would say, like, hey, we should bring that in. We should make a trilogy where it's like, okay, this is how, like, Last of Us. What if, like, you didn't kill those guys, spoiler alert, at some point or whatever? Like, would that carry into the next game if you're like, this was my save from that game up to this game? Or Uncharted even. It might be harder because that's more story driven, but these bigger open RPGs, I would love to see that, because it would really force people to get back into it and be like, oh man, I played this first game, I gotta play the second game, see what my character is all about now. So
I'll tell you one instance in which it was, like, debilitating for me, which was King's Quest, where at the end of it tells you all the decisions you made, and it's like, you didn't get the squirrel, and now, like, because for me that's like a little binary. At the end of it, there's a right and wrong thing to do, clearly, and that's more irritating than anything. Just like, oh, in chapter 5, you're really gonna wish you got that squirrel, and I hate that. I hate that so much.
That's really great that you brought that up, because I just played through Life is Strange last year. Mm-hmm. It's an excellent game. I don't know if you've ever gotten the chance to play it. There's this one instance where there's a bird that gets trapped inside the house. And then, like, you can, like, there's like a few missions where, like, you have to keep opening like a window so the bird gets out or whatever. And then there was like one mission where I missed it. And then you find, again, this is a spoiler, but you find like a dead bird. Is like, oh, I guess you didn't, like, open the door that one time. And I was like, no.
That one time.
It's like,
it's just, they wagged their finger at you. You should have found it.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've got time powers, I can go back, and they're like, not that far, buddy. And I'm like, no, like, oh no, like, this is killing me. That little bird, I wanted to save it so badly. Like, I'll throw the rest of the story away to save this little thing. It's like, nope, you can't do that. And I'm like, oh, it's like a gut punch. I'm like, okay, well, life is sad, I guess, more so. But anyway, yeah, good stuff. Sorry. Anyway, but Mass Effect Andromeda, you're kind of excited about. Do you think you'll get that right away, or do you think you might wait on it for a bit? Like, how do you feel about that game?
That is late March, and so what I have to do in March is beat Zelda and then probably beat Horizon. And if those two are finished, I will absolutely start Mass Effect on day one.
Cool. That's really cool. Yeah. I'm glad to hear you're playing Horizon, because that's one that I plan on playing a lot, streaming and reviewing and all that stuff. And it's just, I was kind of interested to see if you would be interested in that game too, because it kind of feels like right now that's like the mature Breath of the Wild, as it were, during this time. It's kind of like the same concept, and they didn't like pick this. Like Sony wasn't like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to head them off at the pass of Zelda. We'll make a red-haired vixen, kind of like from Brave, and she'll be going around killing robot dinosaurs. Yeah, how do you feel about Horizon right now?
I feel good. I feel that it just sucks. It's so close to Breath of the Wild, like you said. It's an unavoidable part of the conversation, and most of the times I do bring it up. It happens. It pops up. Those two games pop up next to each other. It was an instant yes, and I never expected Zelda to launch March 3rd. And so when I saw March 3rd, I was like, yeah! And then I thought about it. It's like, oh, that's so close to Horizon. And now I'm positive I will play through all of Zelda first and then go to Horizon. Cool. Those are my priorities. It's just how I got to do it. But yeah, again, that's a really cool new game to come out of nowhere. And we get used to it because we watch trailers for years and years. But it's post-historic RPG where you're fighting robot dinos, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Again, it's like what a weird thing to be cynical about when there's like such a strange, fun idea.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I remember being so captivated by it like a few E3s ago when they premiered it, and I was like, what is this? Like, and I don't really, we just talked about that bird, but I'm not a huge fan of like murdering animals relentlessly. Like Far Cry teaches you like that's how you make a wallet, but like in Horizon, it's like, oh, these are like robot dinosaurs. I'm not gonna really feel bad about that, but there's also people you can fight too, which is pretty cool. It's like, man, that game seems to have a lot of interesting new things to say. And this is coming from the Killzone developers. I was like, wait, what? Like, and they're like, yep, we're doing something new. So kudos to that team. I'm really excited about it too, man. I'm stoked. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that game, because that's going to come up. That's going to be a big thing, because, you know, you and Brandon Jones, like that's like a huge game for him too, coming in this spring. So yeah, it'll be pretty good. But it's good that you have your priorities straight. You know, you got Zelda first in the foremost a part of your brain. But what else? I mean, you kind of down the line, it's hard for us because we've just been like, there's like a deluge of all these games right now where you're like, you kind of like have to come up for air. Is there any games like way late this year or anything where you're like, okay, I'm still holding out hope for like Red Dead Redemption 2 or something like that?
Red Dead Redemption 2 will be so good, and it will be such a hard thing to talk about because it will be so good.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Just like GTA 5, I mean, I had a ton of problems with it and whatever, but none of them mattered because the game is so enormous and such a high quality game and sold so much better than everything else that it's just immediately relevant, you know, and it will be the most relevant game this fall, and it will be nearly flawless, and we'll just all have to accept that it's game of the year. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Why bother talking about Super Mario Odyssey? It's just like, that's it, man. Nobody else does what they do as well as they do. And so, yeah, I have like no concerns about it, but I'm also not interested in it in a way that I don't care to dig into it and learn more about its mechanics or anything like that. Sure. I will probably definitely play it, and when I do, it'll be so good. But it's just like, it's a sure thing. It's not very spicy because it's going to be good. We know it's going to be good, and that's how it is.
Yeah, I think it speaks a lot to the quality of just like Rockstar's games too, because like that game was getting like a teaser and an announcement more or less the same day as like the Switch was, and it was like, what's more important, like a brand new Nintendo console or like this game? And like that game was at the forefront, or a lot of stuff that I was seeing. People were so excited about that because they're just like, oh my gosh, you're like, you weren't in the Nintendo camp. You're like, yeah, give me something else. And like that was a good thing to have on the same day if you're like, okay, cool. So
that was a good day. What was that? That was September, I think.
Was it, or October? Was it September? It might have been September.
Yeah, it was a fun day.
I remember when I think back to September, I think September 30th, that's when Final Fantasy 15 is going to be released, and they had that big announcement event and all that stuff, and they're like, actually, wait, we're going to push back to November. And I remember thinking like, oh, no. Like, it's like, okay, take your time. It's been like 10 years, 15 years, whatever. Just like, take your time. But yeah, that was a crazy day. I remember watching you guys kind of like, that was like the beginning of the day and the middle of the day or end of the day. And it was kind of like, there's a lot of stuff to talk about that day, which was, again, wasn't planned that way. I think Rockstar just kind of, like they've said in the past, like if they're not going to show up at E3, you know, or they'll just show up whenever they want to. They're like, hey, we got a new game. Here it is. We're going to drop it on like a Sunday afternoon, you know, or something. And they're like, we don't.
It was cool. I really, really like the way they did that.
Yeah, slow burn. Do you think, you know, you talk about getting excited about, is there any part of you, because you don't really like multiplayer stuff, and Grand Theft Auto has had such a long lifespan thanks to the online. I think kind of the tips or the teases, and I don't want to get into it too much about it, but like that's going to be a bigger factor. Do you think you'll try to stay away from that when you get to the game? Like, will that be something where it's like, you could play this whole game with 3 other people, or are you going to be like, I'd rather not? Like,
it'll be that. It'll absolutely be that, to be honest with you. Yeah. GTA 5, I never dipped into any of the online stuff, which is funny. I mean, the D-pad has, I think, down or whatever. It's like your own character. Never pressed it. And I love that that's an option. And I think that Rockstar in particular, because they love themselves as storytellers so much, I don't think it'll be heavily advertised in the trailers even. They might do special online stuff, but it is weird how much they care about their own story and how much money they spend on the story disproportionately to how much money they make from the online stuff.
Yeah.
They can very easily make an online only GTA game, but it seems like they take such pride in their work that they would never want to do that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I think they are storytellers first and foremost, and that's just like the nice thing that goes along with it. And then the ability to say like, hey, you know, we launched this back on the 360 and PS3, and it was like one of the best looking games there. And they're like, we're going to remaster, and it's going to still sell like hotcakes. We're going to have this online that people are still nuts about to this day. It's like, just says a lot about the quality of that title, particularly. So one thing I wish, though, I hope going forward, I feel like the third-person shooting mechanics aren't always there. I love Gears and stuff, and Uncharted's gotten better about it in the past, but I'm kind of hoping that it's more than just like a dot. I don't know. Like, have you ever felt that in those games? Like, it always feels weird. Like my guy's like an incredible shot with a shotgun, like shooting over cover, like that. I don't know.
Yeah. The way I would play it is kind of just use Deadeye, which is the slow down and like get guaranteed headshots, and then kind of like run around until I've earned it back again, and then just do it again. You're right. That wasn't perfect.
Exactly. Or even in Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, it's not flawless by any means, but like that Deadeye especially is so good because you get to a point where you're like, man, at the end of that game, when certain things happen, you think like, if I would have done this just a little differently, we probably could have done some work with that Deadeye. But that's just me. I don't know. So it's the story. I get it's the story. But anyway, we'll see if that Deadeye makes a big return. Also, a lot of questions with that game. That's all I'm going to say. There's a lot of questions. But anyway, is there any other games or maybe even movies that you're excited about for 2017?
Oh, Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah. I remember they announced like it's going to be in May, and I'm like, that's not going to be in May. I was like, there's just push it back already. But yeah, you're excited about Episode 8, huh?
Yes, extremely. The way I enjoy movies most is media blackout leading up to it. So I'll never watch a trailer for it. And gosh, I know a lot of people dislike Episode 7, but to me it was the best it possibly could have been. There was just an enormous task that this movie had to accomplish, and it did it. It pulled it off in a way that I never thought would be possible. And so I think everyone is excited about 8, even the people who hated 7, because it's finally going to be off on its own, doing its own thing. And I don't know. I can't believe we're like lucky enough to have movies like this. And much like Mario Odyssey, I never thought it would go this way. Yeah, the trend was going this other direction. Then suddenly it steered around into just like, hey, why don't we make these good? Why don't we make like good movies? And I'm grateful to have movies like this in my life, and so I'm super pumped for Episode 8.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest concerns or criticisms with Episode 7 was that it was just a kind of a rehash, kind of the same thing as A New Hope, Episode 4. And I completely understand that. But I think they kind of had to garner that trust and that faith back from that older crowd who really hated the prequels. And I think that was just like to right the ship. And then we have Rogue One that comes out last year, which did you see that movie?
I did, yeah.
Did you like it?
I did. Not as much as Episode 7. I'm not a big proponent of Rogue One, to be honest with you.
Oh, really? Oh, please. Yeah. Like do tell, sir. I want to hear this.
All right, so again, I go media blackout on any movie I intend to see, and so I didn't know it was coming with this movie, and all I knew about it is Rogue One is a really grounded military-style Star Wars movie, and I was really excited for that, I guess, and it's not a grounded military-style story at all. Sure. There's just a lot of, I think, cartoonishness to it that I didn't expect. I like the story it chose to tell, for sure. But I didn't get attached to it in a way that I expected to, attached to any of the individual characters or anything. But yeah, what a thing to pull off. I would watch 10 more Rogue Ones. It was my dream in like middle school. I was wondering, Star Wars universe is so huge and there's so much going on in it. Why are there not more Star Wars movies? Why can't they just do other movies that take place in the same universe? And the idea that that's just happening now, that they're like, oh yeah, we should do that kind of thing, is inspiring. And it makes me so happy.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's I completely understand that and echo that sentiment. So Rogue One is interesting. I think it's the most wars of the Star Wars it's ever been. Like it gets kind of down a little more trench-like, and there's a lot of death, which we're not necessarily used to seeing of like other characters that you don't like in other Star Wars films. Like you kind of have like your trio or whatever that seems like unkillable, but like you have people in this movie who aren't like that. They're not a bunch of Jedi, or they're not a bunch of like cool smugglers, or they kind of operate in the gray, which I kind of like. It's not just like I'm good and those guys are bad and I killed the bad guys. It's like, no, I kind of do bad things for good reasons. Yeah, no, definitely. Did you like the scale of the film? Because I thought that's one thing it really pulled off well. It was kind of like, wow, it felt big, you know?
Yeah. But I think along with that, I think there are still some superheroes with unlikely powers in that movie, and that's what bums me out. You know what I mean? That's like,
sure.
you didn't go all the way into realism. You definitely have some silly moments of just supernatural abilities, and
Sure.
I'm not sure that's like earned in the story you're trying to tell here. But yeah,
definitely. No, like I think the one that comes to mind is obviously the blind monk, Chirrut, with the staff. Is like, I'm one of the force is with me. And he's basically like a Jedi with a stick instead of a lightsaber at a point. Because you're like, well, he could kind of do pretty much everything except like kind of force push people. But it seems like he's untouchable by blasters and all that stuff. And you're like, okay, I love you, Donnie Yen, and I'm gonna start seeing everything you do. But that's like one of the reasons side note. Only one of the reasons I went to see Triple X with a buddy. I was like, Donnie Yen's in there. Basically, superheroes in these action movies. I think we need to just assume everyone's a superhero. Donnie Yen does a jump that's like 80 or 90 feet, which they tell you in the movie later on. Like, he jumped 90 feet. He landed just in another building, like smashed through a window. And I'm like, you didn't break your legs, Donnie. He's so good. But yeah, you're definitely right there. There are some superheroes for sure in Rogue One. So, but yeah, anyway, so episode 7, but you're excited about episode 8. Are you at all concerned that it's going to be a lot like Empire? Do you hope like the rest of us is kind of like, oh, it's going to be its own thing and just kind of like you said, kind of branch off and be like, yep, I'm my own thing now?
I truly believe it will be its own thing. But even if it isn't, what I like so much about episode 7 is that it's kind of like it's informed by A New Hope. I realize that it does a lot of the stuff A New Hope did, but in such different ways. It's such a sad story to me. It's about the consequences of that trilogy in such a way that I'm really into it. It says, it just shows the effects of it. It says, hey, these people aren't happy anymore. You can't just throw a guy down a shaft and everything's good.
Yeah.
And I really love that. I love that so much. And so for me, it wasn't the easy movie I think a lot of people claim it was. It felt earned. The things that were introduced were earned in a way that it's not just, oh, here's a new bad guy, and it's like all your people you love are happy, and now they have to fight this new bad guy. It was complicated in ways that I think people don't give it credit for. And so, yeah, even if episode 8 is a copy of Empire Strikes Back, I don't care, because I know that there will be a new, interesting ways that they speak about those ideas.
Sweet. Well, that's good because, Empire episode 5 kind of being one of like the most highly regarded ones. If it is a lot like that, then I guess we're all going to be really lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't want to be down on it and be like, well, 7 was 4, so 8's going to be 5. It's like, you know what? You'd be lucky to get a brand new version of episode 8. You'd be like, or episode 5. I'd be like, you know what? You're darn right, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's why I feel weird complaining about Rogue One. It's like, we're lucky to have this movie. This is so fun.
Yeah. I love what you said about consequences, because in a lot of these things, it's kind of like if they did like a post like Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, said like, hey, here's everybody, and everything's not so great. Like at the end of Star Wars being so prolific, and they're like, Han and Leia were going to get married, and Luke was just going to be the new leader of all the Jedi and all this stuff. It's just going to be hunky-dory. It's like, actually, no, it's not hunky-dory. Luke is missing, and Han and Leia kind of split up after their child decided to kill a bunch of people. You're like, wait, what? Like, this isn't, how did that happen? And that's a really cool thing. I guess
I've definitely gotten in fights with friends about that particular element, though, in that my friend believes that it's like a fantasy, right? Star Wars is a fantasy, and I could totally agree with that. And so to sort of desecrate the fantasy with this idea of these characters who are in love having a divorce, he's like offended by it. He's just like, it's for commercialism, right? And so that bums me out, because I don't mind handling fantasy in a realistic way. I don't mind adding some realism to fantasy. And so I can see both sides of that. I can see this idea that you want Lord of the Rings to end in this golden heaven or whatever it was. I'm not sure I still understand the end of Lord of the Rings, but I get that. I get that idea of wanting to believe in like this ultimate good ending, but life's not that way. And so, I don't mind it reflecting life as it does now.
Yeah, definitely. I think that realism, it draws you in more, and then you're willing to kind of like have your suspension of disbelief kind of get bigger just towards that, because you're like, well, that wouldn't happen, that wouldn't happen, that wouldn't happen. I'm just going to believe it all couldn't happen. It's like, but no, people can fall in love, they can fall out of love. Like, bad things can still happen in this world. Just because you're a good guy doesn't mean it's always going to be great for you forever. And I like it. I think it's a good thing, because like it's like, oh, it desecrated, and that's like the prequels ruined the other. It's like, no, those movies are still there. Your childhood's still intact. It's fine. It's like with games too. It's like they're making this new, they're making a new Zelda, and it's not like the old Zeldas or whatever. Like, that's just an example. No one out there is saying that, but it's just like just take a moment and just say like, this is my childhood. The only person who can let your childhood get ruined is yourself. So, or those things you love so much. Because a lot of people don't like Lord of the Rings, and I absolutely love them. I'm like, tell me why you don't like them, and that's fine. I can understand why you don't. But you know, it does have a very like happy ending for like almost every like 90% of the cast. Like everybody's doing great.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I think it's a good thing. You know, your friend, I can see where he's put off by episode 7, but at the same time, I think that's just going to be the reality of it moving forward, and I like that because it makes the characters more realistic and it makes them more complicated, because I don't want just this kind of just straightforward, just like, I'm the smuggler, I'm kind of a good guy, but once in a while I do a bad thing. It's like, no, I was, you know, in this resistance and I got out of it because it went badly and I don't talk to my wife anymore. And it's like, Han's more of a realistic person than it's, you know, as opposed to just like just a wisecracking, everything's fine. So
yeah. I'm totally cool with that. It is not what you would expect when years ago you learned that Disney bought Star Wars, and so I'm totally on board for it.
Yeah, the one thing, I don't know how you feel about this, the one thing I love so much about Rogue One is that it does have like some other iconic faces in there, but it kind of branches out and tells a story about characters that we've never met before.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want more of that type of thing, or are you excited about like a Han Solo standalone film or anything like that?
I'm less excited about a Han Solo standalone film, for sure.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of these other characters. And when I was telling you, like, I used to think about in middle school and high school, like, oh, there are movies of Star Wars universe. I was thinking about like a comedy, you know, like think of just like a buddy cop comedy in the world of Star Wars. That's so fun. And so, yeah, the idea of a Han Solo movie and then a Boba Fett movie, I'm less excited about those. But they're still gonna be great. You know,
yeah.
It's hard to complain, but I think there's definitely more to explore without those characters.
Yeah, I think your buddy cop movie works really well as like a Netflix TV show, maybe. I don't know if that'd be like, oh, you could do a whole movie about it, but like I picture like Coruscant, like working the beat on Coruscant, and just like two guys just like cracking jokes, and some bad stuff really does happen, but it's still kind of funny throughout. And there's like, okay, that was pretty messed up. Like Mace Windu's body like slams into the ground, like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? Kind of stuff. But yeah, also you said something about like media blackout. I don't know how you do it, but I went media blackout on Captain America: Civil War, and that happened last year.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times I made myself look like a complete fool in both the movie theaters or in the comfort of my own home, as I covered my eyes and you know, like started like humming and like covered my ears or whatever. And because like it was playing everywhere, like how do you get away from that? Do you just completely like get away from the internet altogether, just like play games or whatever?
So it is super hard because that Spider-Man GIF was everywhere. It's hard to avoid GIFs.
Yeah.
And so I definitely saw Spider-Man's GIFs, so I did know what Spider-Man was going to look like, but I'm glad I didn't see the trailers to see him in action, and because seeing Spider-Man represented so well in that movie was just part of the joy of it. And so I'm glad that I got to have that. But the humming, I don't do. That's tough too. I definitely just hear a lot of trailers. When I'm in a movie, I will absolutely close my eyes, but I'm hearing everything. Which sometimes can ruin it, but not really. You know, sometimes you hear lines, you're like, okay, I kind of get the idea, but really it's preserving the spectacle to me that's really makes it worth it. And so I think that's part of why I'll take the trade-off.
Fair enough. Okay, cool. Well, so you're not like a big baby like I am, because like when I see a trailer and hear all these lines and all this stuff, I can't let it go. Like it's in my mind.
Because you're starting to put it together, right?
Exactly. And like when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, oh, they'll be fine here because there's a big like bridge sequence coming up. Like I don't want to know that. I don't want to ever know that like my heroes are completely like, usually they're not going to be in peril, but still like I don't want to be like, oh, Cap's going to be fine because I saw him fighting somewhere else at another time. It's like I don't want to think that when I'm watching the airport scene. Like I'm like, I want to be all in on this. And seeing that whole, especially that sequence, that spectacle, and not knowing, even with like Ant-Man, like I know a lot of these characters, I know what they can do, and I wasn't like, I just turned my brain off. I'm like, you're not a Marvel fan right now. Like you're just a person walking into this theater and being like, oh my god, like he can do that, he can do this. I'm like, oh, this is incredible. And just walking out thinking like I should have known that going in, but I didn't, and it was so much more fun because of it. So yeah, that's what I do. So you're better than me, Kyle. You're better than me. I'm just in there. I'm like, no. Like people are looking at me. I'm like, I'm gonna be quiet. I promise. So.
It's not easy. It is. I didn't know going into Doctor Strange that Tilda Swinton was in it. So like that was such a hard media blackout that I don't even like know some of the actors, and that was so cool.
That's really cool, actually.
He killed that role, and it was such a surprise to even just see her like introduced that way. Because I mean, the funny thing is when you're shooting a movie, they have a character like hers who's just called the Master, I think. Does she have a name?
Yeah, I believe the ancient one, I think, or something
The
like
ancient
that.
one. Cool, yeah. You know, she has a hood when she's introduced. She's got her hood up, and you don't even see her face for that first sequence. Maybe you do it at the end. It's funny that directors direct that way, because most people who see that movie know absolutely who that is. Yeah. It's like just that director is making that part just for me, the one person who's on media blackout. You know what I mean? Because most everybody has seen the action figure of Tilda Swinton as this person.
Sure.
And
yeah,
so
definitely.
it is really interesting to like pretend there's a reveal there, where for the majority of the audience, it's not a reveal at all.
Yeah.
But when you're writing it and when you're directing it, you treat it as the reveal. And it's highly recommendable to try to save yourself for those moments. And so reveals are reveals and things like that. So you're not frustrated with the movie when it is trying to do stuff like that for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for a lot of people who don't, I think just like your regular layman who might not know that, kind of like you too, and they kind of go in and they don't know that the Ancient One is supposed to be like actually not a white woman, you know, and that was a big point of contention for that film. But like, I think it worked out really well. And I remember they were saying we either took, you know, the hit for us doing that, or we make it the stereotype that he is in the comics and then get a lot of hate for that. So they're like, we just decided to have another character who's in there that you see kind of early on before her. And you're like, are you the Ancient One? And it looks like the comic accurate one. There's like, actually, no, that's her over there. So it's like, oh, there. It's kind of like a wink and nod to the fans. Like, we know it's not the same, but here you go, regardless. So
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, that movie.
And she killed it, though. She didn't phone it in.
Yeah.
That performance is so good. I was crying by the end of it. She's so good in that role. It's hard to complain. You know what I mean? I totally get that and representation. But Tilda Swinton herself did such a good job with what she was handed that, you know, I think she killed it. And I respect her for that.
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody in that movie, for the most part, they had a pretty crazy cast when you start to like pull back the layers and say like, oh man, like Mads Mikkelsen was in this movie. You're like, you're Caecilius? Who the heck is that guy? Or whatever. And it's just like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch is like, I'm not British now. I'm like Dr. House. I'm an American, you know, kind of thing, doing my stuff. And man, that's that movie. What a trip. I actually really like that movie. I think it's one of the underrated ones from 2016. But
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Super good. Well, like, other side tangent, do you have a favorite Marvel like hero right now, or villain? You know, because I love talking about that kind of thing.
I think nobody has a favorite villain other than Loki. I don't know if any. What do you?
I definitely do. My boy right here, Ultron. I love Ultron. I know favorite? I'll tell you why. I love James Spader and his performance. I think it's really excellent, and I think he is much more menacing, much more powerful than Loki actually is. Loki's really cool because you get to pit him one-on-one against people to like talk back and forth. You're like, oh, he's got like witty banter, and that's good. Loki by himself, not that much of a threat. Ultron is a world-ending threat just in and of himself because you just can never really stop him. And I think calling this movie Age of Ultron is kind of bad. I'd almost rather have it be like a two-part where it's like, we've been fighting him for like 5 years, and like we are always on the run, kind of like how the comics are.
Yeah.
And that's just, I love his presence, his gravitas, and like he's got these kind of funny, weird things he says which seem out of place, but at the same time, you get that if this AI were to be created, especially by Tony Stark, there would be problems. Like, there would be issues. There would be daddy issues built into him, and that's why he'd be like, all right, like, this is the best plan. So that's why I love Ultron.
That's so funny, because actually, that's a trailer that I listened to many times in theaters, and it was terrifying to me with the There's No Strings on Me. They use that music in a really scary fashion. Yeah, and I was so scared of them. I didn't feel that fear in the movie. Okay. And I wonder if it's maybe just because of how many things were happening in that movie. Because it wasn't just Ultron. He's also like, I have Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch over here.
Yeah.
And it's like, why these? And they also had to introduce the Vision.
Yeah, and that's a cluster.
It was just a lot of stuff like happening. And it's just, there's thousands of Ultrons now. And I do think that maybe whatever was scary about that trailer may have been lost in just how much was having to be introduced.
I think you're absolutely right, and I completely understand that criticism, because when I look back at that film, I'm like, man, there is a lot more stuff in here. I'd rather have it be like Loki and the Chitauri, where at the very end it's like, oh, you bring your army in. It's not like we have to worry about these other two who have like lived in Sokovia and they've got a vendetta against Stark, and I'm like, okay, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, you're fine, but like, can we just do this another time? And like Vision comes in at like the third act, and you're like, okay, like I guess we're doing this now. And like, we gotta go. Like, Vision and Ultron would be one thing, but Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, Which I think the Quicksilver thing was kind of an answer to X-Men and stuff. They're like, we've got a fun Quicksilver too, and it's like not as like fun as their Quicksilver, but yeah, you're right. It does get a little messed up. But Ultron's my personal favorite. I love Loki too, and I feel like they're like on any given day they could be kind of almost equal for me. But I would love to see Ultron come back in a form, and I just love James Spader as an actor. So
yeah, I do like Spader. I do like the guy for sure. Favorite Marvel hero right now is hard to pick because I think they're all represented so well. I just like Spider-Man. Outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and so having him introduced naturally in Captain America: Civil War was so fun, and there's a certain energy in that scene where Tony Stark goes to his apartment and like kind of recruits him and things like that. You feel the enthusiasm, and I'm excited for a Spider-Man movie this year, right? Yeah. Again, media blackout, but Michael Keaton's in it, right? Michael Keaton's in there.
I wish I could tell you, but you're on media blackout, so I can't really.
Okay, all right. If he is, I'm super pumped.
And I won't say anything. I will just say that like for what they've been touting about it, it's like I can't believe they're going in this direction, and I think it's going to work. And it's just like that's Marvel right now. They'll do stuff like that, or Doctor Strange, or just Guardians of the Galaxy. You're like a talking tree and a raccoon, or whatever, and they're like, "Yeah, it's going to work. Don't just trust us." And you're like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like you're like, "Oh, it worked."
And it totally worked. And Ant-Man worked, and Doctor Strange worked. Like these movies that shouldn't work totally work, and so that's so fun. And so yeah, I guess because I love Spider-Man so much, I'm just going to say Spider-Man. They pulled him off, and I'm excited to see. It's just so crazy again because you just read about this like the studios and like we sold Spider-Man and you'll never have Spider-Man Marvel, and then they just worked it out.
I love it.
Yeah. The good thing prevailed somehow, and these things you never believed would happen suddenly do for no other reason than it's like we can make something good. And I think they realize if they make something good, they all make more money, and that's why Spider-Man is happening like it is now. And so I think that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the hope is for like X-Men and stuff one day. It's just be like, all right, Fox, listen, I know we don't always get along, but we could make, and I'm not kidding, like billions upon billions of dollars if we just like shake hands, smile for the cameras, and say, let's do this. Like, because people will be like, oh my God, I'll buy every ticket forever. Like, that's all they have to do. And they'll get to that point eventually, I think. So we'll see. I hope. Anyway.
I do. I think after Logan, there's going to be very little appeal to Fox's X-Men movies, and they'll just run out, and Marvel will be like, we're here. We're ready to make a good X-Men movie.
Yeah, and the thing with Deadpool is like that's an easy fix to just be like, all right, actually he's just in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He'll make a joke about it. He'll be like, what, I was in like the Fox universe, and now I'm in the Disney universe with the mouse and stuff. Like that's the one thing that I think that they're kind of like holding on to. I forgot about
Deadpool. What a success.
Yeah, crazy. The biggest R-rated film that up to this date that we've seen. Logan might be the best contender for that right now because it hits that R and it also hits that superhero thing that people want. And I don't know, but yeah, Deadpool, what a crazy success. Like, wow. So
shoot, I think Fox might be fine. They might be getting that call from Marvel and they're like, we're fine. We made a ton of money last year. Like, okay, fine. It might be another few years before they're working together.
I think so too. I think they're on their like last leg, but it's like a really good last leg, and they're just like, this is really strong, so we can do this. And then Marvel's just like Disney, they're just like, we can wait. We'll wait. Like Ryan Gosling won't be young forever or whatever. They'll be like, he'll get out of it. But they could easily patch him in, as it were, to the other stuff. He would be an interesting addition to the Avengers, though. I don't know how that would work. Anyway, but Spider-Man, man,
it's so tough. It's so tough to have Deadpool around because he does just break it down every time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, we got the serious thing going on. Deadpool's like, I'm aware of the fourth wall. And it's like, now we all should be. Like, it's tough. It's tough to deal with it, to be honest, to add him in. It's way cool to have him in his own movies and comic books.
Did you like that movie, by the way?
Loved it. Yeah, I really like it. I think it was a really good adaptation. It was so cool that they just let Deadpool be Deadpool, and I think that's why it worked.
Sure. Yeah, I'm hoping that with the sequel, they don't feel like they have to do, because a lot of that sad backstory stuff is so like, Marvel kind of first, or like Doctor Strange in a way, kind of like that phase one Marvel like hero telling movie. It's just like, oh, this is how I get my powers. It's kind of told out of order, which helps. But I hope in the next one it's just more of like just 2 hours of just Deadpool being Deadpool, because all that other stuff with Ryan Reynolds and like his like cancer and all, I'm like, okay, I get it has to be there, but like let's just move it along. Like let's get to the fun stuff.
But even that sad stuff they handled so well in that it's the way a sad person deals with it in a humorous way, and I really like that. I liked that. Even though Deadpool is a way out there cartoon character. There's some realism to how he dealt with the saddest moments of his life with that sense of humor. I actually really like that.
Sure. Yeah, I get that, definitely. But anyway, so you said Spider-Man, you're excited about it. Is there any like Spider-Man villain that you've seen before or haven't seen yet where you're like, man, if they, there's going to be probably 3 other Spider-Man films altogether with Homecoming at least. Is there one where you're like, man, could they really, if they could get, Scorpion in there, that'd be great. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like we got cheated out of Venom. I feel like Venom is so obviously such a good Spider-Man villain that was borked in Spider-Man 3. Deserves a second chance.
Yeah, I really wish.
We can see a good Venom.
Yeah, that's very good. The guy I do this podcast with, Joe, he would love you. He'd hug you right now. And I wish you weren't on like media. I'm not saying anything. There's not any Venom teaser or anything. There's always the rumor. People want Venom. There's that craving. I mean, I've got a weird like Venom thing on the wall right here. People, they want to see a good Venom because that was like Topher Grace playing just freaking Eric Foreman. And then getting a Venom suit in Spider-Man 3. And I was like, no, why? Like, really depressing. But yeah, anyway, Venom is amazing. You'd love to see
Venom
him.
would be my answer to that, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, Venom, I think, is a really good candidate. And I think with all the stuff they've done, especially with like how the Hulk looks, they can make a big kind of more imposing Venom and make him look really cool for like a Spider-Man. Maybe standalone, because I don't know if you put him, against the Avengers. He's not really that kind of tier.
And kind of like how you say we're like sick of the origin stories. I get so sick of the weird how long it takes with the symbiote suit on Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just every single time it's like, oh, these powers are kind of cool. I feel like I've seen that story 8 times. And so I would not, if Venom, I just want him to show up. I don't want him to have to deal with Spider-Man liking his symbiote powers again and all those things. Don't worry about it.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I wonder if that's something they'll try to integrate somehow back into the MCU in some way. Like that, maybe that would be like some sort of like kind of after credits scene that they could like tease, like, oh, maybe in the next Spider-Man film we'll get like Venom or something like that. I feel like that's really good, like a place to plant that seed if you wanted to. So yeah, I hope Venom comes because then we get Carnage and then we can go really nuts with it. That's what I want to see. But that'd be like an R-rated Spider-Man, and that's not going to happen. So if you're like cutting people's heads off and stuff, be like, okay, it's a little much.
You can't say never anymore. You absolutely can't.
That's true.
Strange good things keep happening.
That's true. Yeah, I'd love to see Disney make an R-rated MCU movie. They'd be like, well, there you go. That'd be incredible. That's why I'm still holding out hope for Wolverine to fight the Hulk in a movie. That is, it's one of my dreams. But I don't know. He's getting pretty old. They got to get a new Wolverine eventually.
Oh yeah.
So. Yeah, but anyway, is there any other things, like any other movies or any other whatever else in 2017 that you're like, man, I want to talk about this?
No, I think we've covered it. Man, 2017 is very, very good, and I'm looking forward to more weird, positive things that keep happening. It's fun.
Definitely. Well, if that's the case, then we get to slip into this amazing segment of the show that I like to call Timekillers. Now, Timekillers, those are the shows we've been watching, the games we've been playing, the movies we've been viewing, and the comic books we try to read, but they just sit on the shelf, and I don't read them, and I feel bad because people give them to me as a gift. I'm like, I'll read this. Then I'm like, I never do. I got to get better about that. But anyway, what have you been doing? What have you been killing time with, Cal?
So recently, this will happen a lot. This is how I get into anime is I'll put it on to fall asleep to, but then get into it. And the most recent time that happened was with Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball.
Cool.
And I watched through all of Dragon Ball, got way into it, and then I was like, man, I should check out Dragon Ball Super. And I did, and then I've watched through all of Dragon Ball Super. And now I watch it as it pops up weekly. And I'm like back into like a Dragon Ball mentality of my life.
Cool. Nice. I kind of missed out on that as a kid. So like I've had people say like, just start a Dragon Ball Z and you'll be fine. They're like, you could watch Dragon Ball, but it's like, it's a little different. And I don't know, where would you recommend to start?
I love the way that I got to see it, which was watching Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball is a weird 80s anime that eventually slowly becomes Dragon Ball Z. Okay. And I don't know if I would appreciate it the same if I hadn't seen Dragon Ball Z. I'd probably be like, where are you going with this? And now you know exactly where they're going. It's like, oh, he's charging up. You see like the first time somebody's charging up, which makes no sense. But it's cool to see the first time of that and the animation change. And right now where it's at, it's like a little silly. It's a little fun, and Dragon Ball Super is such a strange thing in that it's like it's a Dragon Ball Z for this other generation, and it is absolutely a different series and feels different. And so, yeah, I would recommend starting with Dragon Ball Z. It's going to be hard now. It's not a good anime like the anime that is good is good. You know what I mean? Yeah. When somebody recommends an anime that's good, it most likely is, and it's most likely really trying to say things about humanity. And this Dragon Ball Z doesn't really. It's just a fun superhero show, basically. Yeah. And I mean, there's something to that, absolutely, but it's almost never has a commentary on anything. It's just kind of a fun, jolly show.
Cool. That's really cool. That's really interesting to hear, because I have a friend too who's kind of like, I just got to put on this thing when I go to sleep, and then like that's hard because like you said, you get into it and then you're just like, man, I'm up to like 3 a.m. because I just decided I'll do like just one more. And some of those episodes and those anime, they're only like 22 minutes long, but they can go by in a flash. If you're really into it, you're like, whoa, wait, it's over already? You're like, okay.
Well, they're even less than 22 because the intro song and the outro song are so long, and then they do like a last time on. So really, it's so easy because it's like 18 or 17 minutes. It's so easy to watch a bunch of them. It just happens.
Cool, man. All right, so you've been watching some Dragon Ball, kind of going back, or Dragon Ball Super, you're getting through all that. Like, what other games have you been playing right now? I think you got to talk about it at the top of the show. But
Gravity Rush 2 is one that I'm putting a lot of time into.
Nice, cool. How are you liking it?
I like it a lot, and I have this unique problem that I almost have with no other games, in that I'm not progressing in the story so much because I like exploring the world. And oh my god, it's huge. I got to the first hub world of the game, and I thought, oh, this is the hub world. I'll be here for the rest of the game. I progressed a little further in the game, and then there's another huge hub world the same size or larger, and I'm floored. I'm floored by the scale of this game. And what I'd like to do is, like, you know, put on a podcast or a TV show while I'm playing a game. And in that, I'm just floating around getting these collectibles, these little pink gems. They hide around these environments. And it's just a game in which traversal is a joy. It just feels fun to fly. I've never played a game where I enjoy flying so much. And so it changed my play habits. You know, normally I am just like focused on the story and finding these things. But because I'm realizing I'm spending too much time with the game, I think I've had it for 3 or 4 weeks now. I'm trying to mainline it a little more. So hopefully I'll finish it someday. But for now, I'm just flying around and digging flying. It just feels so good to shift gravity and have a different perspective on these environments. And I've never played a game like it. I've never played a game like this. And it's in its uniqueness, it's just so fun to play.
Cool. That's you know, at the beginning when you said like you're spending so much time just doing all these side missions, I kind of foresee this. I'm not exactly sure if it'll happen exactly the same way, but that's how Final Fantasy 15 was for me a little bit. And a lot of people were like, I'm on like the chapter 3 for like 30 or 40 hours. They're like, I'm just kind of going around doing hunts, just kind of exploring the world, and you could just get like lost. So it's cool that to hear that Gravity Rush 2 is kind of a similar thing. So
yeah.
Cool.
And I think what's funny is I am collecting a lot of gems. It's not overpowering me. I'm not going to be over leveled by the time I do go to the main stories, because you get like combos and you had added benefits that don't overpower you. And because I'm going to do the exact same thing with Final Fantasy 15. And some people would say, well, you're going to be over leveled. The rest of the story will be easy. And I said, fine, it's okay.
Actually, really, you know, we're talking about superheroes and like these other action movies and stuff. Really, that's what Noctis and his group are. They're just like a bunch of superheroes. So killing a bunch of people easily would make more sense, you know, because like later on, sometimes you're like fighting these dudes, you're like, man, I can't kill this Magitech soldier, and it's like taking me forever when it normally shouldn't. But like he'll walk in and be like, whoop, and it's like that's how like a movie would look. It'd just be like he'd be like, you're dead. So it'll be perfect. It'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Cool. Anime. Yeah.
Yep. Like that. It's anime. Totally, dude. Oh man. Oh boy, I really want to hear your thoughts on that game. Anyway, that's very cool. So Gravity Rush 2 has been taking up a lot of time. I played the demo for it. I liked it, and I heard that the targeting system was better from the first one, because I remember having some issues with that as far as fighting goes, because sometimes you can get really wacky and crazy with fights. You can be like, I'm just going to go flying around. I'm going to come flying in, and I might miss, or I'll explode, you know, into the ground and stuff like that. Do you find the combat to be a lot of fun?
So much like back to Nobushi.
Yeah,
I don't. The way I do the fights is I just it allows you to pick up some garbage around you and toss them at the enemies. That is all I do. That's almost all I do.
You're Darth Vader now. You're throwing debris. You're throwing debris at Luke. You're just like, take that. That's great, dude. I love that.
But it's because the thing you're talking about is annoying. It doesn't always work the way you want it to. The locking on and slamming into somebody, it can. Yeah. It's not always functional the way you want it to be, and it's way more fun for me to just hang back and throw stuff at enemies and pick up enemies and throw enemies at enemies. And so whenever I can, that's how I'm doing it.
Cool. That reminds me a lot of like Force Unleashed and stuff. That's one thing I really loved about that game. I know it gets a lot of kind of hatred, but I really enjoyed that first game, and just being like, if you have a problem with someone, you're a Jedi, and like for a lot of that beginning part of the game, you can just pick a dude up and be like, you're gone. Like, you are not a factor. You are not a factor. And like, that's a lot of fun, like a power fantasy. So I like that. I think it's cool. So
yeah,
cool.
that's a demo I played for hours, was the Force Unleashed.
Exactly. That and like Just Cause 3 for me, just I could play that demo just all day. It was like half hour, just there you go. But yeah, definitely that Force Unleashed. I remember at the end of that demo, you'd fight an ATST, and then when you play the game itself, like that guy isn't there. At like the end of a boss like level, it's like he's not there. Like there's still more level to do, and I always think like, oh, here comes AT. Oh, okay, I'm gonna keep going. So, like I don't get to crush him. Oh well, dang. But yeah, cool, man. Gravity Rush 2. So you're kind of you got time to kind of. You got a little bit. I'm looking at the date here. You got time before like Horizon and Zelda and stuff. So you have a few weeks to kind of like chill with that game as much as you want. So
yeah,
that's really cool.
But when I do feel a responsibility to move on and play more games, just in terms of like coverage, and so I don't like to. I'm feeling a guilt right now for not having finished it. It is time to move on to something else. So I'm feeling that.
No, I get that too. I'm that way with like Kingdom Hearts 2.8, like final chapter prologue. I'm like the very end of like Dream Drop Distance, and I'm just like, I gotta get back. And then For Honor came out, and I was like, oh no. So that's how it goes. They get buried. It happens. Don't worry.
I played a 0.2. I guess that was last weekend.
Was it
Maybe
good?
It was the weekend before that. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I have to look into that.
So you're doing Dream Drop Distance first before you go into 0.2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I never played Birth by Sleep, and that was always one that that was the game that like blew my mind, because the cinematic for it was like a bunch of these cool people in Power Rangers outfits in like a Keyblade graveyard fighting Xehanort and like his like little like I'm like, what is this game? And I never played Birth by Sleep, and I was like, okay, I'll play this, and then if I'm like really craving it, I'll go back, grab Birth by Sleep, and then I'll kind of know the story enough, thanks to like the GT timeline. But I would love to go back and play that kind of stuff. But the Aqua stuff I'm really excited about, because it looks great, and I'm just like, oh, yeah, here we go. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So
cool.
I hope it's good. It's like a 3-4 hour type thing campaign for Aqua.
It is not long. Yeah, it is not substantial, is what I would say about it.
Cool.
Because it was a thing when that was announced. I was ready to just plunk down the $60, like we talked about with Titanfall 2. I'm like, I don't care. I'll just plunk down the $60. I'll play that one little 0.2 thing, because I've already played Dream Dot Distance, and I don't care about a movie about the mobile game. But it isn't long enough to really justify that alone.
Sure.
That
cool.
particular thing.
Well, that's cool that you can still I know you don't like to assign value and stuff to that, but I like that you can at least say like, okay, like I'm not gonna recommend you go buy this for just like a 3-hour thing and be like, all right, so it's like, was that worth your $20 per hour? Stuff like that. But I appreciate that you can say that. But yeah, that game, I'm excited to get into it, and it was weird because I ordered it through Amazon, and like they ran out, and so I had to like call them up and like order it from like another. They had to get it from somewhere else. For some odd reason, they were like out of stock of that game. I was like, whoa, it's like the Kingdom Hearts like sell like really freaking well. I was like, sweet, like people want Kingdom Hearts. Like, where's Kingdom Hearts 3? Dang it! Like I'm waiting forever to play this game. So yeah, I'm really excited about when Kingdom Hearts 3 finally comes up, whenever, like 2019 or 2025 or they just like stretch it out. Like, don't worry.
I do think it'll be a while.
And that's okay. It's worth waiting for. It's like Final Fantasy 15. I can't say it's like a flawless game, but I'd rather wait a long time and get something like that. Or for you, maybe it's like Super Mario Odyssey, if it's as good as you want to be. I'd rather wait a long time to get it than just to never get it at all. And we were so like greedy as consumers. We're always like, consume the next thing, blah, blah, blah. And like after we beat Final Fantasy, it's like, well, good, that's done. Like I'll come back when the DLC's here. Like whatever about that game. It's like, you said you wanted that game for like 10 years, and you're like, yep, I beat it in like a week. And you're like, just walk away from it. And it's like, okay. Like,
yeah,
so
it's crazy.
Yeah, I try to keep that in mind. I try to think like, okay, people put their like heart and soul into this thing. Like, let me think about this. Let me judge it, but also realize that there's more to this than I think there is, and it means more to some people and means less to some people, and that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, I try to do that, but it's hard sometimes. It's really hard. But anyway, sorry, that's like a little existential thing. So we do that here.
That's fine.
Yeah, but Gravity Rush 2, that's been your game of choice right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Has there been anything else? I mean, you said you played the For Honor beta, which was like last weekend. But besides that, that's been pretty much it, and just kind of all the other group streaming stuff that you've been doing. And
yeah, anything else I got to stream? Yeah, you know, because I'm like streaming Pokemon Trading Card Game 2 right now, which is fun.
I saw that you had a really, really poor run of getting tails, or you needed to get tails on something, and there was just like there's like a coin toss, and
it was my opponent. It was you get to do 10 damage for each heads you get, and I'm like, okay. Chance he'll get 20 damage, it's fine. But then he just rolled 10 heads in a row.
It's like
nasty. Yeah, coin flip AI is pretty nasty in that game.
Well, I did wear this shirt, for you. This is my current mood.
That's a cool shirt.
Thank you. I was like, okay, I think you might like this because I wore a Bleach one for Ben, and like, because I had Ben on a while ago, and I don't think I don't know if he's ever like really watched Bleach. So it's like Ichigo, and like I don't know if you're familiar with him, like this big visor, creepy thing, and I was like, oh, he didn't. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have worn that shirt.
I think none of us are in on Bleach. We all missed Bleach.
Oh my goodness. Well, eventually, I'm happy to educate you guys on some Bleach, because Bleach, it's like Naruto a lot. It's one of those kind of fight 'em animes. It's like Dragon Ball a little bit, I think, but it's very much like, let me just like get really powerful and like blow you away, or just be like insanely fast. And it's a very paint by numbers anime, but it's good. So if you like that kind of thing. A lot of just recaps, though. I mean, that's how they all are. I mean, I just finished watching Naruto with my buddy, like those last, like the canon episodes, like the Sasuke Naruto fight, and just a lot of rehashing. But like, I know that, like, I grew up with Naruto, so I'm just like, you're gonna show me this scene like 5,000 times. I get that, but there's a meaning for it. So like, try to understand that. But anyway, yeah, cool. Well, one day, if you ever want some Bleach. But yeah, Pokemon. I was going to ask you this because I was like, I'm sure he's been asked this like a bajillion times, but is there anyone from Gen 1 Pokemon style? Like, I love Arcanine. Probably it's like my favorite. Do you have one that just like really like has always had you, and you're like, man, I just love this design or this flavor of character?
Absolutely. It's Farfetch'd.
Oh yes, I forgot you talked about this, because Brandon plays Pokemon, he's like, Farfetch'd is like, dar, and you're like, he's my favorite Pokemon.
That's my favorite Pokemon, yeah.
Cool. What do you like about him?
So I like that. I think that there are some straight up sloppy designs in the original 150. I think there's some that are just boring, and it's just like, hey, there's more of it. It's Doug Trio. It's like, Farfetch'd to me is really fun that he can exist within this 150. He can be ignored. He doesn't evolve into anything cool. He doesn't have any cool moves. There's no reason to pick Farfetch'd, and so I really like him in that aspect. I like his design a lot. I like that he has a stupid leaf that he's always got. It's hard to explain my love for Farfetch'd. He's normal type. He might be normal flying, actually. But in his simplicity, in his and how innocuous he is. I mean, you can only get him through a trade in that game, much like Mr. Mime. The only way you can catch him in the original games is through a trade, and so there's something kind of special about him in that aspect. And you get this thing. He's called Dux. No matter what, you have a Farfetch'd named Dux, and you can't change his name. I don't know. There's just something so bizarre and fun about Farfetch'd that I've always really liked him.
Cool, man. That's great. I love to hear that. Is there any, on the flip side of that, is there any that you're just like, you talked about bad designs? I mean, like Magnemite, Doug Trio, stuff like that. Is there one particularly like, that's just dumb? Like, that's so stupid. Why do they do this?
Mr. Mime is so stupid.
Yeah.
Mr. Mime is awful. That's just an awful Pokemon. It just shouldn't exist. That was wrong. They should have put something else in there instead.
I always link him with Jinx. Like, forever, I always group those two in this horrible camp. And Jinx should be so cool. She's ice and psychic. That should be incredible. No, she's like some potentially racist abomination that like they had to change her color, and she likes kissing people a lot. It's very strange. I don't know. And like Mr. Mime is just like a manservant for like Ash's mom. Typically, when you see him, he's just like, you're like, okay, this is kind of like, what's Mime doing when he's not brooming? He's just kind of sitting around. I don't know. It's a weird character. Yeah.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that's all the stuff you've been killing time with. I can talk about all the things I've been killing time with as we've talked about this. But yeah, I just I'm trying to think of anything really exciting. Like I said, I finished Naruto. That was incredible. It was there's a few moments. I don't know if you sound like you're kind of a Naruto fan from what I've heard in the past, but I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen it.
No, I'm all caught up.
Okay, cool. I just like that final fight. There's so much emotion, I think, at the very end where, spoiler alert for if you haven't finished up like Naruto, but like Naruto and Sasuke kind of going back to where they fought it so long ago. And then after doing all the crazy things you'd expect them to do, just them to just bare knuckle box for like 10 minutes just like punching each other, just like it's just such a dirty fight, and there's so much emotion, so much kind of sadness, and it's just really incredible. And it was just like, wow, this is and I'd read the manga, so I kind of knew where it was going, but seeing the anime is just 1,000 times better, because they'll show you a few panels and like a manga and you're like, what am I even looking at here? And then like in the when you watch the show, you're like, oh, that was like a fireball. Okay, cool, I get that now. But yeah, that fight was it was emotional, and I just, there was a lot of love put in that scene. And yeah, I'll always love Naruto. I think that's like the anime that got me into anime. That's my Dragon Ball. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I love it. Anyway, Kyle, it's time to get into the last segment of the show. Just quick little bit here. This is questions and community feedback, and I have a few quick questions for you. But before we do that, I want to ask the community. I asked them a little question. I asked them this question here. So I asked them, has there ever been a game you thought you'd love but then completely and utterly hated? And this came in from Jorn Evers, a friend of the show. Thank you, Jorn. So good. So we had a few really good ones here. One person said Night Warrior. He said, answer the same as before, Simpsons Hit and Run, which is kind of interesting because I liked Simpsons Hit and Run. It was like Grand Theft Auto Simpsons. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Did you like that game at all?
I never played it.
Fair enough.
To me, it was like a side of Simpsons I didn't want to explore. You know, it's like I don't want to see Homer like that. It's like I'm good.
Cool. Fair enough. That's totally fine. I understand that. Weird Girl says none that she specifically hated, but she knows the Halo 5 campaign was something she disliked. She liked the multiplayer at least. And then Nilen says to us, from last year alone, Inside and The Witness. Those are kind of interesting ones because maybe he thought he was going to be really into it and then just wasn't. So I don't know if there's any games. That's the question I want to ask you. Is there any game where you're like, I was going to be into this? And
I'm shocked by Inside and The Witness, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that pop up and I was like, I'm going to talk to Kyle about this, and he's going to be like, what? And I was kind of like, I was like, really? Wow. So
because Inside ends so well. That's wow. Huh.
Guess it's not for everyone.
I can see it. I can see why you would be disappointed. If you are looking for answers, I can see why you'd be disappointed in that ending. And same with The Witness.
I still get to play it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So no spoilers, but
oh no. Oh, it's fine. I'm okay with it. You know.
I can see why somebody would have come away from that. A game I loved and then hated is very rare. There are games I think that I've hated and then loved, but I don't know if I've really ever soured on a game. Rogue Galaxy is a game that the ending really, really soured me on it. The ending to me of that game made the whole thing not worth it.
Okay.
When I talk about having a space quest and how much I love I love the idea of Mass Effect Andromeda because I'm about to go on a space quest.
Yeah.
You can actually totally trash it. And I think Mass Effect 3 did that for a lot of people, not for me necessarily. And so, yeah, okay, I'll say Rogue Galaxy, game I loved and then ended up hating.
Cool. I think for me, I don't know if I really hated it, but like The Division, I went into it thinking like, oh, this is going to be really cool. And it's going to be kind of like, I'm not really big into survival, but I remember they're like, you can have water and food and that's going to be the currency. And it's going to be really hard to get things. And then when I got there, it was just like kind of like a gritty Borderlands, like RPG shooter thing. And I just remember feeling like it's trying to be realistic, but I'm like shooting a dude in the head for like 5 minutes, and I just really kind of soured on it. My buddies, I played with them, and it was fun for a little bit, but then it was just kind of dumb and kind of boring and nothing to it, and it's like it's kind of hurt. So
I think that one's a really good answer because The Division was popular when it came out.
Oh, for sure, it was huge when it came out, and it's kind of had a resurgence lately just because of like a survival mode. But I think the damage is already done, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
that is interesting to think about because it was huge, and Ubisoft was bragging about it. We sold this many of Division. It's a really big franchise for us, and I do think it cooled off hard.
Yeah, and they're making a live action movie about it, and it's like, why? Like, you know, a lot of people, no one, like, please don't. Like,
I didn't know that's happening. I didn't know there's.
Spoiler. Sorry if you're media black on the Division film. But anyway, yeah, they're doing that. Ubisoft's like, it's going forward, and it's just like we're talking about Assassin's Creed, the next one. It's just like, guys, I don't know. I love you, but I don't know. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. That'd be funny if a movie based on a game was better than like more well received than the game. I don't know. Has that happened before?
There's an interesting thing with the Resident Evil movies where they have a different kind of success. Like they have kept going because they've been successful in their own way. They're not better or worse than the games. They're worse than the games in my opinion, but I would say the success of the two is not reliant upon the other one, which is really strange. There's its own entity.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're so different tonally, because, like, you know, the Resident Evil ones typically, I mean, for the most part, they've gotten a little more actiony, or they have in the past before Resident Evil 7 kind of came and rebooted that whole thing, like, tone-wise. But, like, those are kind of like B movie, like action movies or whatever I was talking about earlier, kind of like Just Cause 3 or something. It's kind of like that. It's like, we're blowing all this stuff up. There's like a stupid little plot here, but it doesn't really matter because he's going to kill like 1,000 zombies with this one little move, you know. So that's why people, I think, are attracted to it, and that's why they're different camps, you know.
Yeah, and that's why it's so weird that Ubisoft is making those movies like Ubisoft knows how to make movies.
Yeah, I know. I didn't see it. Did you see Assassin's Creed?
I will never see that movie. I have no interest in that.
That's so good. And the weird thing is, as you probably could tell, I got an Assassin's Creed poster on my wall. It was given to me. It was great.
And that jacket too?
Which was a gift from Simon Anderson. Thank you so much, Simon. Lots of other stuff you might know him as. But like, I like Assassin's Creed. I've gotten burned by Assassin's Creed, and I don't know if I ever really wanted a movie on it. But I was like, I'll see this in theaters. And then it came out like right after Rogue One, and I was like, you know what? I'm good. And then and it's already gone. I was just like, oh, like a month later, I was like, where's Assassin's Creed? They're like, I'm like, I'm like, okay, like, you know, whatever. So maybe I'll see it one day when they put it on Netflix. I'll be like, okay, whatever.
That's the right time to see it, for sure.
Yeah, that's like, I went to see Warcraft in theaters because I want to promote that, because I'm like, you know, I don't know everything about Warcraft. I don't love it like some of the diehards do, but I was like, man, they were taking a big swing. And I wanted to get there and be like, okay, let's see what you got. Not a perfect film, but I was like, it could have been so much worse. And I don't know if you saw that one in theaters at all.
We did.
Okay, cool.
Bunch of Easy Allies went to go see that one together, which made it fun.
That's
made it
so
fun,
cool.
you know?
That's like seeing like, I never saw Kingsglaive for Final Fantasy, but I heard that was like the best way to see it with like a bunch of buddies and be like, okay, like we can laugh at this together.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Did you like Warcraft?
Yeah, I liked it in a dumb way. Like you said, it's not a good movie, but it was fun to see that. It was fun to see it. Is the best I can say. I think we saw it in 3D too, which is like another dumb fun element.
Sure. I don't know how you feel about 3D. 3D, I got burned a long time ago on 3D, and I've been a big opponent of it ever since. I feel like it always adds, like, it doesn't add enough for me personally, and then I hate when they do the gags in like a movie that's supposed to be serious, and they'll do like a reach forward, like, whoa, and I'm like, please don't do that to me. I just want to just watch the movie. You know what I mean? I don't know how you feel about 3D.
The first 3D movie I saw was Beowulf, which had a ton of those things, or like flipping a coin in your eyes. Sure. But Warcraft absolutely didn't have that. But I mean, you shouldn't watch any movie in 3D because it does make it darker in theaters. You're watching a darker version of the movie that somebody worked really hard on the colors for. But to me, when I'm just there to see a spectacle, it's fun. It's just kind of a dumb fun element to it. Cool. I wouldn't see 3D for a movie I truly, truly care about, I think.
Sure, that's exactly how I am too. Because like, I never want to see Avengers: Infinity War in 3D. Like, that would be like on my 5th viewing, maybe. Like, if someone was like, all right, we're gonna go see it in 3D, I'd be like, all right, fine, I've seen it like a bunch, whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. But for Warcraft specifically, I think it just made me hopeful for how the orcs looked. Like that, I feel like we're getting to a point where like our technology is getting so good. Like, those guys should have probably been the focal point of the film. And I just love seeing a CG character that looks like that good. I'm like, wow, that's like, he's like got sweat and hair and the muscles are moving. I'm like, whoa, that's incredible, Durachan. You're great. Like, yeah, I want more of that, please. So you never know. Anyway, other question. I got one more question for you here.
Okay, we go.
So this comes Anna. I've already answered this before, but I wanted to get your take on it. So she says, what's your ideal villain? What's your ideal hero? Any genre, any media. And she also said it doesn't have to be existing. Like, you could kind of make up aspects of one, you know, as opposed to saying like, it's going to be Loki, you know what I mean? Or something like that. So is there any, you know, for me, I like kind of an empathetic villain. So like a Magneto is something I really like. So I'm like, I get why you do this, you know, for instance. So
yeah, my favorite villains are the ones that you feel bad for. Yeah. That it's a struggle to watch the hero kill that villain. That's the best. That's the best you could ever ask for. Yeah. My favorite heroes are doubtful. I like self-doubt in a hero. Am I doing the right thing? Do you know what I mean? Is this the right thing to do? Can I do this? Can I pull this off? I like it when heroes are like that. I like the reverse. I like a confident hero, as long as that's comedic. I like I got this. I'm ultra powerful. I got it. Pop, 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 pop. That can work. Not so much in a dramatic aspect.
Cool.
And so in a dramatic situation, I like heroes who aren't positive all the time, who do fail, who do have regrets, and I guess that's what I'm into.
Cool. You know, I was trying to think of like a doubtful hero, and I was like kind of like racking my brain right here. And then one, you know, that I'm not going to say this is for you, but one that comes to mind for me is Aragorn, kind of in Lord of the Rings. Again, we're talking about that.
Sure, yeah.
He's like, I don't want to be king. He's like,
Mhm.
they're like, that's your path, man. He's like, I don't want to end up like, you know, my great great grandfather or whatever. I'm gonna get seduced by the ring. I don't want to be the king. Just leave me out of it. And then like he keeps getting like every time he tries to get out, they're like, you're the only person who can do this. And he's like, fine, I'll do it. And he's like, but I don't want to. Like, and I really like that about him.
Mm-hmm. I think it's so essential as opposed to, yes, I'll do it. I'm here. I can do anything. It's like, oh.
Exactly. That's just like a Boromir character. It's just like, I'll get the ring. It'll be fine. It's great. Just give it to me. It'll be fine. And it's just like, we should use this against them. It's like, yeah, it's not how it works. So yeah, that's cool, man. I like that. I like, and again, we're talking about back to like, episode 7, more realistic, because there's not a lot of people who are just like super confident all the time about everything they do. And I think that adds a little, ripple.
I'd say there are people like that, and they're generally not heroes.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's what I mean. As far as heroes,
yeah,
they're probably.
Yeah, I think there's
like,
there's a lot of people who are super confident all the time.
That's super good. They're probably not heroes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Super confident all the time. Just take a double check. Be like, Anyway, that's really good. Well, thank you so much. You know, I want to say to anybody who tuned in, thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions for myself or for Kyle, or any topics or any games you want to see us play here on the show, all you have to do is tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast. You can tweet at me. I'm at GoCritical. Or if you want to tweet at Kyle, you can tweet
at Kyle Bosman.
Excellent. I love it. Just so straightforward with yours. It's not like numbers or anything. It was just like right there. It's really easy.
I think I got in around 2009. I feel lucky to have my name.
You're smart man. I got to it too late. I'm still like, I don't have like a separate one, like a personal account. So it's like I'm the face of this everything. So all the things I say on Twitter are like through that. So if you see anything on there, that's from me.
From Critical Reviews, right? Yeah,
exactly. So like Go Critical. They didn't have Critical Reviews as one, so it was like Go Critical. I was like, my buddy kind of like helped set it up for me, and I was like, that sounds like some sort of like gun or like critical mass. It was like Go Critical, and I was like, okay, I guess that seems like you're kind of like a big deal. I was like, I don't know, just put something right now, so it'll be good. But
you're committed now. That's it.
I'm committed forever until I get that little blue check mark, baby. That's the dream. Anyway, but thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. And I want to talk about Easy Allies here for a hot minute, besides just myself. You know, Easy Allies, a group of very talented, just not even just journalists, but talented, you know, video game enthusiasts, I should say.
Sure.
You guys do a lot of things. You do a lot of things that video game journalists wouldn't do, and I absolutely love it. Like, you know, you play Dungeons and Dragons, you guys make Gundam models, you know, you're streaming all the time, you're making all these videos, you're reviewing these things, and I just really appreciate that, because it just, I don't know, I come for the personality. Like, even if it's a game I don't care about, I will listen to you guys talk about it for like 45 minutes. You know, that's how much I love you guys. You guys are fantastic. I think you're wonderful, and that's the reason any of this stuff that you're watching right now, dear viewer, dear Legionnaire, it exists. It's because of these guys. Because I was like, man, I want to do that, and like, you know, I didn't get there fast enough to game trailers when I was back in the day, and I'm like, why didn't I do that? But here I am now. But you know, if you want to help support them, they are a Patreon supported group. So if you want to do that, you can go over to Patreon /Easy Allies, and you go check them out. You can see what they're about. Even if you don't want to donate, you can just see all the things they're doing, and you guys are doing like a massive amount of stuff. Like some days I'm like, man, I'm just buried in Easy Allies stuff. I'm like, I got a few podcasts to catch up on. There's like a D&D thing I got to watch, some streams. So yeah, is there anything else that, you know, I kind of forgot to mention? I mean, you're better at promoting this than I would be. I'm
not sure. I think you plugged, that was a great plug. I don't know if I could do better.
Yeah, excellent. And the thing is too, I don't want to make you do it, because like you guys kind of have to do that already on all of your shows and things like that, or you want to. And I think it's easier to have just someone who's just a passionate fan and a patron, by the way. It's just like, could talk about the shows and all the stuff you do, because it's like, if you say it all the time, it's kind of like, oh, it feels like we're asking people to do this. Where I'm saying, I'm like, just go check them out, because if you like this, you're probably going to love that. And it's, man, it's a great show. And or just all the stuff you do, especially your weekly podcast. You guys talk about so many things on there, and sometimes it goes for like 2 hours, and I'm like, this is excellent. Helps the day job a lot. I'm just like, this is really cool. So
sure.
Yeah, but thank you so much again, Kyle. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and just know that I'm a big fan. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's been very fun. Your show has great vibes.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I would absolutely love to have you back on again someday if you were interested, especially talk about Final Fantasy and stuff, because that game, I feel like you'd have some really fun things to say about it. So
Sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. Thank you to you. Thank you to everybody else. Thank you to This Is Dale for amazing theme music. And thank you to Jorn Evers for all the thumbnails and all the beautiful art. Go check him out at Jade Circle Art on Twitter. So thank you so much. Remember, everybody, adapt and overcome. we'll see you next time.